tell me what to make. I don't care about your take. It's my channel, and I do what I want. Wah!
We're live.
We're live.
We're back, baby.
Dude, we're so back. First video of the year. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
2026.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Did you have a good New Year's?
I did. How about you?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We got to rest, relax, and spend time with family.
And
We
grow
did
a
not
beard.
play any and grow a beard. I'm working on it. Okay, so feel free to judge me in the comments below. I have another 2 weeks before I go back to work, so we're trying to see if we can get the disheveled look.
Nice.
I have to say though, man, I started with beard oil almost like right away because it was so itchy.
Oh yeah.
And like it actually really helped. I will say, like every time I take a shower, I get out and I'll just rub in some beard oil, and just the itchiness goes away within 5 minutes.
Yeah. You're
At
just
least
at
for
that
me.
length. You're at the itchy length.
Yeah, yeah.
You get past it. But yeah, the beard oil is nice in the meantime.
Yeah, I know. I asked my brother-in-law, who has a rather large beard, and he was like, "Yeah, you just suffer through it, and it'll go away on its own." I was like, "But do you have to
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
Like,
Or you could just not.
is there something? Surely there's something that helps."
Yeah.
But no, it's been really good. We got to I got to show my wife and I showed her sister and the brother-in-law Wake Up Dead Man, and otherwise our kids just got to spend time together and play. So it was awesome.
I also watched Wake Up Dead Man. We'll have to talk about that.
Yes,
I'm
I
curious.
would. I would love to talk about it. I have a lot of opinions about lighting, so it'll be fun.
Okay.
It'll be good. So if you like movies, hopefully you're checking out the other stuff that we do.
Yeah.
But
Upcoming
But,
movie club, maybe.
yeah, it's been really awesome getting to go back into Latin. We've been doing a lot of books, and we have other books, and I've got some that I'm gonna do on my own, and Matt's been releasing his videos, and so. But Malazan is kind of, I think Matt would agree, kind of for us has been almost like the central line for what we're doing with our book club. It's like we kind of just base our schedule and everything around what's happening with Malazan, and that's just been kind of our foothold for this, which is just like it's just been so good, and I'm glad to get back into it. And I will say, when I told you this in the last one, so hopefully people have stayed with us through Memories of Ice. I was like, that book showed me the potential, and like first part of this book that we're now going to get into has just absolutely rewarded that faith, that expectation. It's tying everything together in such a cool way.
Yeah.
So, as always, I know that was the longest introduction we've done, but this is Hobby Vomit. My name's Ian,
Yeah.
and this is.
I'm Matt. Hello.
And so we are going to be starting another one with the fourth book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. We're going to be going through House of Chains. And so the cover's so much better than what I
Wait, which one do you have?
this one. It's just dog.
I got to show you the broken binding one I have. I just have this one in here because I'm going to bring I have a sleeve over my hardcover one. But this one's also, it is... I feel like at first glance this one's not great, but then when you actually like look at the detail, it's just very like gray from afar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so wait,
Yes.
yours is what? Hold that a little closer. Is it dogs?
It's just a bunch of dogs.
Looks like it's the hounds. Oh, they're huge though.
Yeah, but they're massive.
Oh yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, this is similar because these are dogs too. They look like like wolves or
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they're
But see, like, but there's
biting
a
this dude's
lot. There's a
neck.
lot going on. I know, but there's a lot going on in that scene, which is there's
That's
a lot
true,
to like
yeah.
ask.
and they're also
This is
like
just like-
carved. Those look
Yeah.
like real dogs.
These dogs are like, where did my owner go?
Yeah.
Like it's just they're super confused.
Huh? How we get so big?
I know it's a reverse of Honey Shrunk the Kids. So, but as always, we're going to be going through this book part by part. And so if you guys have watched this stuff, you know how it goes. But if you haven't, we're really excited. Know that these reviews are going to be pretty spoiler packed for that particular part. So if you're reading along, do make sure you finish the part before you can watch the video. Otherwise, this is your warning. That we'll do, I believe there's only 4 parts, but we'll do one video per part, and then we do a video where we give our overall score rating and sell for the book, and then we will typically either combine that or do another video where we talk about the whole series and kind of where things are going, what our expectations are, and how we're liking things so far. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. Anything else you want to add, Matt?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay. So Matt's going to give the high level overview of this part, and then we're just going to go into it, talk about what happened, the characters, things that have connected to other books, and overall just what we thought was really cool and other things we noticed.
Yeah.
So, Matt, you want to kick us off?
Yes. So this is part one. I'm trying to remember what the name. I think it's called Faces in the Rock. Is that right?
Yeah, we can open it right here.
Faces in the Rock.
It's called Prologue. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Prologue and Faces on the Rock.
There we go.
Yeah, so very, very high level overview. We journey along with Karsa Orlong to on his journey to Silver Lake, seeking to fulfill the prophecy of his people, and then his whole life gets turned upside down. That's the super high level Fresh Prince twist. So
Yeah, and so one of the kind of neat things, and then we kind of chatted about this beforehand, but I think this is basically the only time that we've had just a single character narrative. I mean, I know there's other supporting characters as well, but we have been sticking with one character for the entirety of this part of the book. And actually, I don't mind bouncing between different characters, but I've liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been really compelling.
Yeah,
So-
I'm the same. It's one of those that, like, I think when you, at this point, I know that when I'm starting a Malazan book, I'm like, I'm just gonna, he's probably gonna introduce me to these new characters that I don't know and I'll care about by the end, and so I'm just flowing with it, and we'll probably be with this Karsa guy for a couple pages, and then we'll jump to someone else, and then I'm like 30 pages in. Then I'm like 50 pages in, 70. I'm like, oh, we're just going Karsa here the whole way.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't find myself missing the rest of the world at all. Weirdly, not because it's better or worse or anything. I just feel like I could read a whole book about Karsa. This felt almost like a whole book about Karsa. Like we'll talk about it when we get to the world building and stuff of just like I was like jotting down notes of like, okay, these Teblor people and their gods and this, and then like by the end I'm like, I don't think any of that's gonna matter as we move forward here because of what we get at the end of this part. But like he just is so good at creating the different like civilizations that I was super invested in like learning about the Teblor people. And even if we don't ever see them again, it was very cool to do that. So yeah, very cool journey. This felt like a quest book, It's interesting. I'm reading Fellowship of the Ring right now at the same time, which is also, the ultimate quest book.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like what this has like shown me that I'm feeling like Fellowship is lacking, which, probably, don't attack me. Don't attack me. I love Karsa as a, I don't necessarily think we'll get into him as a character, whether he's good or bad or gray. But I just feel like he's a really well-written character that I loved following. And I'm kind of missing that in Fellowship. I know Frodo and them from the movies, really, but I do think the book is doing a pretty poor job of giving me any character work at all. It's just like, this is their quest. We're moving from point to point. So I feel like this is kind of doing the same thing in a way more like catered toward my enjoyment. So yeah, it was just awesome. I loved it. I don't want to say it's my favorite, I feel like every time I read a part of a Malazan book, I'm like, is this my favorite? This might be my favorite part of a Malazan book. But as far as like ease, it was definitely the easiest part of any Malazan book to read, I would say, as far as like, it flowed really well. I never felt behind or confused, really. And maybe that's because we've kind of gotten over the curve, the hump. But I think it's just the single narrative, single point of view. And really, even if you had never... I was thinking about this. I was like, man, would this be like this would be an interesting thing to be like, if you've never read Malazan, you probably could, I think, just read this part and not miss anything, right? I mean, maybe not. Maybe there are a couple things I'm forgetting, but up to a certain point, at least, I think you could.
Like in terms of missing things, probably not. I feel like part of what makes it so yeah, part of what makes it so comfortable and easy, though, I think, is the fact that the world building that's occurring around Karsa feels very natural,
Mm-hmm.
in part because of our expectations. Like the way that Steven Erikson has built the world through 3 books already, the way that he introduces these characters, there's like a level of mystery, but it's not a profound surprise. Like it's like I'm thinking specifically around the 7 faces.
Mm-hmm.
Like the building around those characters is not surprising. There's a mystery, we don't know who they are, and there's a lot of curiosity around what their intentions are. But this presentation of these characters is like it very much fits into the world of Malazan. When we find out about the only thing I wonder about, though, is like when Karsa ultimately makes it to the lowlands and engages with the Malazans. I feel like there's added elements
Yeah.
because we know a lot about the Malazans
Mm-hmm.
that Karsa does not know. And so there's like an interesting element of knowing the world but seeing it through someone who's very ignorant. But it would be I actually would be really curious to see what it'd be like for somebody who is also ignorant of the world, because they'd be much more in Karsa's shoes
Yeah.
than we ever could be, because we know so much more about the world
Yeah.
than he does.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think when I was thinking about it, like, yeah, I agree. I think there is a point in this that stops being true, especially like with the Warrens and the T. Dur and all of that. Like we get to a point where it's just like that would be too far. But I think like Karsa's journey just to getting to maybe like up into Byroth's death, like him getting captured. I think that could be like a hook. Be like, this is what the world can do. There's gonna be moments that are confusing, like obviously we recognize Icarium's name and we know about the Jagat and things like that, but like they're so quickly mentioned that I don't think your enjoyment of the part, or at least mine, like it was just a cool little bonus for me of like, oh, these people are like, okay, they're descendants of this. But other than that, like I feel like we still know as much about the Forkral Assail as like someone just
Oh yeah, we
picking
know.
it
Like,
up. You know, it's
like
like, oh,
nothing,
cool,
you know?
Forkral Assail. I've heard of them. And then we move on. And it's like, and I feel like with the 7 gods, it is in line with Malazan, but it's also kind of in line with like, just like native tribes and like worshiping a god. Like, I think you could kind of go in and be like, I'm just learning along with, anyone else that's learning. I felt like I was learning it too. Like I wasn't like, oh yes, the Teblor gods. I was just like, I got to take notes here because I'm interested. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like as far as ease of reading, because Gardens of the Moon is a lot. You get thrown into the middle of like a battle basically, and you got to learn everything. Where this is just like, you need to know Karsa, and that he's on a journey. Almost like I was curious what you think. It was giving me like almost like fairy tale vibes.
Yes, so I was actually about to mention that next. So, because we were talking about like things it's kind of similar to.
Yeah.
And so 2 things to mention is, number one, if you've not seen the movie Ben-Hur, there are a lot of similarities between this and that movie. Now that's very much like Bridget and I will watch it every single year, especially around Easter, because Jesus is a character, but he's always like off in the distance in Ben-Hur. But Ben-Hur is this character who becomes a warrior, who then becomes a slave, who then saves one of the members, becomes a part of their household, and becomes a warrior again, but then has to like face his past. So there's a lot of like similarities where it's like going through the process of slavery humbles him to the point that he can now understand himself and the world a lot better, because his hubris has been leveled so much to the point that he can now, like before, he would see it as like an affront to help people. Like that's beneath me, right? And you very much see that with Karsa. Like his ego is way over the top.
Yeah.
Like he needs to be cut down so harshly. And I'm not saying slavery is the way to do that, but for him, right, it does that. Like I'm not justifying anything here. I'm just saying this is what happens with the character, but like then it allows him to start actually caring about people, and then once he does that, his character really grows. But then secondly, if you like stories like this, you should read Irish folklore. Like Irish folklore reads exactly like this. Like specifically, there's a whole Irish folklore is broken up what are called cycles, And so there's what's called the raid cycle, which is about the deeds and feats of Cuchulainn. And so in all of these like sort of famous, or if you know Irish folklore, sort of more famous heroes in Irish folklore, but it's exactly like this. This is how it reads, of like people taking vows, people doing feats, people challenging themselves in like over the top kind of ways. And that idea, like what we see with Carson, just taking one vow after another, after another, after another, just constantly trying to like one up yourself. There's a lot of that in Irish folklore. But with Irish folklore, it's also like there's some elements that's very comedic in a weird way. Like the whole setup for Cuchulainn and why he has to do the feats is because someone insulted a woman, a queen, by not wanting to marry her. So she cursed the entire land with labor pains. Like basically every man started menstruating. And so, and except for him, because he was too young, because he was like just under 16. And so he had to like single-handedly like guerrilla tactic the invading army to try to stall until the menstrual pains were done. So it's stuff like that, which is just very over the top and fun.
That's yeah.
But yeah, but like it reads exactly like this in many cases.
Yeah, kind of giving me fairy tale vibes, but then also I don't know if you've seen Apocalypto.
I want to though.
But yeah, kind of like Mayan, Aztecan tribes, and like especially with the raiding section of invading. They're all Teblor, but they're invading each other, and like basically planting their seeds within other tribes so that they birth people of their tribe and that kind of thing, taking each other not hostage but as slaves. Yeah, basically. So yeah, it kind of gave me that vibe a lot as well.
Yeah. So I figure let's go ahead and kind of talk about this sort of first part of the setup, because I'm actually really curious. No, not the prologue. So with Karsa, but because I'm really curious to see what you thought of the whole dynamic between him and his dad and his grandfather. Because for me, that was a really interesting setup, where you have Karsa, who has this chip on his shoulder right off the bat because he feels this great shame from his dad. And so he feels like he has to not even just one up his grandfather, he has to like 100 up his grandfather to like make up for this shame that he has grown up with. At the same time, though, we also see these really interesting elements from his dad. Like Karsa, in his own explanation, talks about the fact that like he's one of the greatest warriors in his tribe, which is not an easy thing because they have a very strong tribe. But he attributes that to his father. His father taught him extremely well with their practices, and he even mentions that like his father could have been the greatest warrior ever from their tribe if he would just assert himself.
Yeah.
And so, but it created this really interesting dynamic. But at the same time, I'm reading this and I'm thinking like, there's definitely something up though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's setting up to where like, I don't know that the dad is the bad guy here, or is really, I mean, it seems like there's probably something in terms of a flaw. And, but that really got me going in terms of, okay, like what are these revelations that we're going to get? And then we start to see more of what's going on with Karsa, but also, I mean, we know a lot more now, but ultimately his dad doesn't try to stop Karsa, even though he knows it's a futile effort and probably going to get him killed, and for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those
How
things.
do you feel about the dynamic?
Yeah, I liked it. I agree. I think that I also knew something was up, but I not to the degree that we get revealed necessarily with like the grandfather and his journey. The revelations we get for that, I thought were awesome. But I do think because of the prologue, which we can get into that here maybe at the end, or it's fairly separate, so we can kind of separate it out. But there is something similar going on there, where there is one person who basically speaks against the tribe and is punished for it. And I think that same thing happens with the dad. Is like, and I also think it's the same thing manipulating both parties. And so I think it's the same thing. He believes what he believes, and he's tried to convince others, and he's been exiled for it essentially, and brings great shame to his family. And yeah, Karsa is essentially like an angsty teenager at this point. Yep. And I think the dad, I think obviously he cares for him. He gives him a great horse, and sees him off, kinda. But doesn't support. He basically is like, I don't want you to go. I don't support you, but I also know I can't stop you. And I think this is just one of those things. As part of growing up, you need to go down and see for yourself. It's also been so long that, I don't think the dad knows that Silver Lake is no longer a farm and now it's a city or a town. I don't think he knows that. I think he just thinks he's going to go down and have his eyes opened up and he's basically just saying, go see for yourself. Like, that's all I can do.
So there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things there where, one, I think that it's really interesting. So I will say that this is maybe the hardest Malazan book to swallow off the bat, because we don't understand the Teblor culture and language off the get-go. So we have to accept the fact that we're going to read about 100 pages of somebody who's entirely dedicated to raiding, pillaging, raping, and killing children. But at the time, we don't understand what that means. Which we do come to understand that actually that's just their word for human, which is fascinating. But there's a lot of cases where they talk about the youth, and there's a specific part where they mention that one of the youths, the Teblor youth, is 40 years old at least. So, one, we know that they live a really long time, but also two, their sense of time seems to be really skewed. They don't really understand, like they don't think in time the way that we do. I mean, human civilizations can do a lot of development over a course of a few generations, but I mean, if 40 years old is like a Teblor child, a Teblor youth, I mean, human civilization could rapidly change the landscape in the time that it would take a Teblor to become to adulthood. So that's a very fascinating concept. But then the other thing is, I do wonder if the dad Sinig knew or suspected that Polk was full of crap.
I mean, I kind of feel like like if my dad was spewing bullshit at me, I feel like I know him enough to where I'd be like, I don't know, but maybe, it seems like, well, actually, I was gonna say, it seems like maybe he's like, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for the good of the tribe, but it doesn't seem like that. He's like, no, that's bullshit, Dad. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And we also don't know, because his wife and Karsa's mother has died. It seems like tragically. I don't. From what I remember, I don't think we get an answer, right? Or do we get?
Well, I think that the implication is that the children were disfigured, or at least declared disfigured by the tribe. But the other implication, the mother, it's implied that the seven faces had her killed. In some way or fashion, because they declared her to be a troublemaker. And the only reason that they said that the dad wasn't a troublemaker is because he's just he's just keeping to himself.
Well, to me, it sounds, so it's like, at that point, it seems to me like they probably told him that, like, hey, look what we're gonna do. You keep it up, we're gonna go for your son next, or whatever. And he's just like, okay. All right, I've seen what you can do. Like, I'm going to stop now and just live my life.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting is, so they set off on this journey. So it's three guys. It's going to be Garza, it's going to be Bayroth, and it's going to be Dullum. And there's an interesting love triangle going on there, which is then going to help us to really understand this ego, right? Because not only is Karsa pillager, raider, and raper, he's also like really bitter. I mean, really bitter over the fact that one of the female members of the tribe, Dalis, is going to be betrothed to Bayroth rather than Karsa, and that's like
too.
And he's like, well, and so he's like, I was like obsessed, right, with this one person, but she gives her blessing to Bayroth. Polk gives a blessing to Karsa. This is the grandfather Karsa, but it's basically not even a blessing. It's basically just like, hey, I was really awesome, so you go be awesome. And then the dad, I mean, his blessing is essentially the horse, which, I mean, is one of the most considerate things I think that's happened so far.
I think Karsa would be dead without
it. Yeah, absolutely. That horse is amazing. Like it's its name is Havoc, and that is exactly what it brings. But the tribe does not, like, at all. The tribe's and people shutter their doors shutter their windows and close their doors at their leaving to pretend that they couldn't even hear them. So it's like not an officially sanctioned raid at all, even though, again, that's a part of their culture, is like to go on raids.
And their culture, their tribe's specific prophecy is that one Tablor will, well, I guess not through raiding, but there is supposed to be like a chosen one basically that will unite the tribes.
Yep.
And so yeah, they know that as well.
And so what I found really fascinating is just over the course of the start of the journey, basically by the time that we get to they go through and they're raiding different Teblor villages, and so we can talk more about that, but they get to a cave before they finally make it to the Bone Pass. That there's going to take them. So they're Highlanders. They're way up in the. I mean, like thousands of feet up. I mean, basically in the mountains, and so lowlanders are where the humans are for Genebakis, and so they're way up, and so they need to get to what they call the Bone Pass, which is literally just a really steep or at least long trail down, arcing, zigzagging downward, of just made entirely of bone. And they make it to a cave where they see etched in the walls of the cave a sort of a recorded story from a few members who are dead in the cave. And it was kind of interesting because it reveals that there's actually like so many layers of lies, just one after another, stacked on top of this prophecy, which is just really fascinating. And it doesn't really feel like it's unraveled yet. And so I'm really excited to see this. So we have one, like, we're going to find out Polk, right? I mean, we already got the hint of it from one of the other Tebler villages. Like, Polk was lying completely about what happened.
Straight up, like,
that he's actually
a pussy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a coward. He's a coward who came back to his village, and because there's no one to be contrarian to him, right, just claimed all this grandeur. And then Bayroth, who is one of the traveling members with Karsa, who, again, their attention is, I mean, kind of shows a lot of cunning in talking about the fact that it doesn't matter that the tribe didn't give their blessing, because if they return victorious, then they're going to rewrite the history. Yep. And we see exactly that same thing happen with Polk. It just was better for the tribe to share in the spoils of this grandeur than it was to be contrarian and contradict him. And so now that lie has become this truth, and that's again created this division between him and his son, and then created this chip on the shoulder for his grandson, and created this whole illusion of grandeur. And then all of this in the name of Urugul, who is one of the faces of the rock, who is not really a god.
Yeah.
Who is completely using them for his own purposes and devices.
Why?
Yeah.
I want to jump in real quick, because I don't even think that is Urgal. I think the seven are just like other people, like taking, fulfilling their god. So Urgal might be a real god, but I don't think he's not there for one reason or another.
Yeah. I mean, you could be absolutely right. But like, these guys are like, they're not it. And they are manipulating these people for their own reasons. And so there's this whole other layer. And then on top of all of that, we find out that the whole culture that they're participating in was basically a plan for a renegade or splintered group of people that had gotten separated. And well, there was one, it was almost like somebody looking back to the glory days and saying, like, we need to achieve this again. But then on the second hand, this very cold practicality of, hey, look, we're splintered off. We cannot stay together because we will effectively have too much incest. So we need to separate, and we need to create a culture where people raid and rape each other, so that way we don't have incest. Right? And that's exactly what happened. And so it's just like, it's all of these layers, and none of it, as far as I believe right now, based on what we've read, none of it is really like who these people are.
Well, I do. Yeah. I feel like we find out that the cave it's written by Jaggets.
Yep.
And they create, from what I remember, or my notes at least, the glyphs were written by a Jagget, claiming that they created the Tebler clans, like you were saying, per the instructions of Icarium specifically. Mm-hmm. So, like, the Tebler wouldn't exist without the Icarium. And to me, it just feels like that this is really, to me, okay, so here's what I think is, like, the Highlanders, the Tebler are just descendants, like a branched off descendant of the Jagget, and the Lowlanders, or just humans, basically, the Nathi, are branched off descendants of the Talani Moss. Like, this is just another, consequence, or whatever you want to call it, path down the river of history or whatever
Yep.
of their war. Like they were warring there, and
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, and like for the laws of Icarium, because that's what they explicitly say in that inscription is the law of Icarium. But they also mention the clouded blood, which is where that concept of because they specifically say they need to separate so as to further not dilute their blood, not to cloud their blood. But normally when people talk about diluted blood, they're talking about mixing. Like for example, we see that with the Rathid or how we're going to pronounce it, but the people who are the Tabler who are the closest, them and the Sunid are the closest to the Bone Pass and therefore the Lowlanders. But the Rathid have been mixing, so there's presumably a lot of half breeds out there, or maybe they're part of the village, and so but that means that they've been basically just going down there and sleeping with Lowlanders, and their blood is diluted. But that's not really what this thing was talking about. It seemed to be talking more about almost like there's a problem when they have too much incest. Like there's something
probably
wrong
those
with their blood.
deformities of the children.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
That they end up sacrificing like 6 of their 7 children to the faces because of these deformities, which I think realistically is because of the incest. Yeah.
Yeah. And we know many of those children are being gathered by one of the members of the faces,
including
and so they're called the
unborn child of Bayroth and Dalus.
Yeah,
they're like forming them.
Yeah, exactly. Even though there's which is just a backup plan. Like even though Karsa has not failed yet, and they haven't really, they're still hedging their bets, right? They haven't really given up on Karsa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean even that child as well. And it just raises, which I mean, it also raises other questions like, could they have intentionally deformed some of these children? Right, if they didn't think that it was a good enough candidate, like okay, move on to another one. It's wild, like in terms of like what's happened with their culture. But what's really cool, of course, of the development of this journey is that Karsa very much comes to realize this, that there's a problem, and he even starts to realize that part of these problems in the culture, like also it's keeping his father might just be staying silent in exile, because of their culture, right? And I think that's very true, and that's kind of what we see. Is like he's encouraged to stay silent, and part of it is probably because of, Karsa's relationship with Paul. I mean, if you're the dad in between those two, you kind of just, like you said, you kind of just need to let Karsa see it for himself. Otherwise, trying to slay, your son's image of his grandfather, it doesn't really work. Yeah.
So do we think for sure? I mean, do we think that these gods, the 7, they're working for the crippled god, right?
Yep.
They gotta be.
I think that they probably are. I also think that they're Talanimas.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah, and this is why I had a part of Deadhouse Gates. I can go and read it now if you'd like, because it's relevant to both of these things.
Yeah, read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went back through, guys. These were not here before I started reading. This is what I was talking about when I talked about the fact that like things are just it's just such a cool payoff. Let's see if I had them all noted. Okay. So this is from Deadhouse Gates. And it's the section of Deadhouse Gates, which if you haven't read that one, I don't know why you're on this video, but so
they took my advice. It's the first thing they've read.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is in Deadhouse Gates where our party, Fellis and Hebrick, Baden, yeah, okay, and Culp, I think, is there too. Yes, Culp is there too, and so they're in a warren. I know they're in a well, and this also has an interesting revelation in here, possibly. But they're in a warren. They don't know of its origins, but we know that it's milky, frothy water that's shallow. They find themselves aboard a boat with a bunch of heads that are Tista Eater, and so it's very likely that we've now revisited this warren.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%. I mean, I think it's 100%. It's the same warren. It has to be, right?
Same boat. Same boat.
Not necessarily.
I think it is.
But I think it very well could be. And so, but they're on this boat, and all of a sudden they start to see dust gather and start to form. And of course, we know what that means, and so does a few members of the boat. And so this is kind of where it begins. But it says, Talani Moss, Kolb shouted from where he stood, clinging to the mizzen mast. Salanda, which is the name of the boat, was rocking with a wild energy. Logros Talan, which is significant for two reasons. The first reason is that we now I think Garns the Moon said it, but if it didn't, Memories of Ice did. The Logos Talon are the Talon who served under the Emperor. And that was confirmed in Memories, and I have a sticky note for that as well. And it says, they numbered 6. All were furs except one who was smaller than the others and last to appear. It was bedecked in the oily, ragged feathers of colorful birds, and its long hair was iron gray streaked with red. Shell, antler, and bone jewelry hung from its rotting hide shirt, but appeared to carry no weapons. Their faces were withered, the bones underneath close to the surface and robust. The sockets of their eyes were black pits. The wire remnants of beards remained, except for the silver-haired one, who now straightened to face Culp. Stand aside, servant of the chained one. Which is interesting. That's what she says to Culp. First thing, which for me either means that Culp was the servant of the chained one. Yeah, stand aside, servant of the chained one, which I don't think he was, but
I don't think he was
either way.
either.
I think it's the Warren. I think the Warren is related to the chain gun, or the people they're hunting, because as we'll go on, stand aside, servant of the chained one. We have come for our kin, and for the Tista Eater. The voice was a woman's, the language Malazan. And so then a little bit later, now Culp goes on to deny that he's part of the chained one and all that. But two other things that she does kind of mentioned. Number one, they talk about the sorcerer, who is mad, and so she says he is the madness of Otatarol, which I think is, that has been coming up a lot. I think the madness that we're seeing consistently in the prologue and throughout the book, I think that is what that is. I think it's all from the Otatarol dust that we've been seeing. What does it say? So then a little bit later, she says, so Felicin, or someone was basically saying, so like us, you came to the ship to get your feet dry. And then the Talani Moss responded, and complete our task, we pursue renegade kin. So doubly confirming that they're going after renegade kin. And we actually got in Memories of Ice the fact that like this was happening with the renegade kin, because we met a member of the Logos Talon, and it was through Silver Fox. It says Silver Fox was clearly shaken by Olar Ithiel's words. So many, she whispered, lost. A moment later, Krupp saw her steel herself. Oath Olar Ithiel, what inspired Logros to dispatch you to find remaining armies? Summoner, the first throne found a worthy occupant. Logros was commanded so by the occupant. An occupant Ho, the mortal known as Calavad, so on and so forth.
Ho.
Yeah, occupant Ho. Anyway, an occupant who? A mortal known as Caliban Emperor. Okay, so we know all this. And it says, it says there were uncertain times. Summoner Logros Talon and Moss was divided unto itself. The discovery of surviving Jagut in the Jag Odon proved a timely, if short-lived, distractions. Clanned among us have since returned to Malazan's Empire service, and was the schism responsible for the renegades the rest now pursue.
Yeah.
And so
then even in House of Chains, I feel like that definitely solidifies it, because in House of Chains, when the 7 meet on the boat, after they're like, we got to go, we're being pursued by kin. Yes, like they literally say we're being pursued by kin. So you're definitely right.
Yeah, it says, I believe we're being hunted. The remaining 6 turn to face the speaker, who nodded and answered the silent question, yes, there are kin upon our trail.
Yeah, that makes it way crazy, because the descendants of Jagat are worshiping Talani Moss. That is crazy. Yeah, very interesting. And that's fun.
And again, it just like goes into this like all these wild like curtails of like when you think about the deformities and the decline of their culture, and it's just it's messed up in a lot of ways.
I wrote all their names down too. Messy. It's so clear. Yeah, mossy bone, dead ash tree. Dead ash, antler from summer, fanged skeleton. Yeah, it's obviously that's not the names to the Teblor, but to each other.
To each other.
So very interesting.
Yeah, and then I was mentioning to you about the end reveal, but we'll talk more about that one. But I have a lot of like I've got some sticky notes for like the sort of the reveal that comes at the very end of part 1, which was I was sitting on that one for a long time through the book.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so we've got like these layers of lies, and so it's really fascinating. But kind of as I was saying, I think that this is one of the hardest ones. The hardest moment for me reading through is when he's raiding the other Teblor tribes, and specifically
and young daughters, basically.
Yeah, and specifically when he tells the daughter like, "No, you will be called Daelith." You could just see like, he's just such a bitter and egotistical person at this point.
Yeah, because I
And
think if you take some of that stuff out,
yeah,
it becomes more just cultural, right? Like
yeah,
reading this, I'm not like, yeah, but
yeah, yeah,
it's like I understand this is your world, this is what your people do, and so I understand why it is just normal to you. It's not like you're doing it, for a bad reason. You're just that is the way of your people. But it's things like that and the way he treats Byroth and
hmm
it's all those little sprinkles on top. You're like, fuck you, man. Like you
yeah,
fucking suck.
yeah,
Um, but all the while being incredibly compelling.
hmm
Uh, it's funny. I just was I don't want to go on too long of a tangent, but I just finished that trilogy, the Broken Empire trilogy I was telling you
I
about.
was thinking about that a lot.
Very
Yeah,
very similar
yeah,
character study, I guess if you want to call it, of the main character being this awful guy, but very compelling. And then throughout the book, you get to learn more about him and
hmm
and why. Yeah, it just very good as well. But yeah, that is one of that's probably I would agree is like the worst moment,
yeah,
the low
yeah.
for him.
And so I would say, like, if you're the kind of person who doesn't have a lot of belief in redemption or like redemptive arcs, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough. But I think that, like you said, it's a part of the culture, so it's giving us a lot to work with. Like we're meant to understand that this is a very, he's basically an angsty teenager. He is broken. He is egotistical, and he's got a lot of growing to do. And so that's part of the story is to see where this person goes, right? And like you said, he's really compelling, and I think we're starting to see a lot of really interesting developments in his character. And I personally really like where he's at right now at the end of part one.
Yeah,
So yeah. Now, so I don't. I was to say the part where he talks about the use being 40 was for me the first moment when I started to suspect that children didn't mean children anymore.
yeah,
And so then we get close to the Bone Pass, and they actually do get attacked by bounty hunters. We come to find out, which are humans who hunt down Teblor, and then we kind of get it confirmed for us. Children are just
yeah.
humans.
Because that's their whole thing
Oh,
is they're going to
yep,
Silver Lake to kill the children and
yep,
take their trophies.
yep,
Um,
yep.
Which, yeah, to
So,
me, it was. I think that as far as like the
mm,
fairy tale stuff, it just was
yep,
like, imagine we're getting like Hansel and Gretel from
yep,
like the witch's perspective. Like that's what it
yep,
felt like to me. It's like we're
yep,
following the
yep,
bad guy. These poor innocent children down by Silver Lake
mm,
living their
mm,
lives, and like once every 80 years, these
yep,
monsters come down and
mm,
kill them and take them and eat them and not eat them, but that's what it feels like.
yep,
And so it was
yeah,
it was kind of really cool being on that side of that. But yeah, with
mm,
obviously there's there's so many things that he does just throughout of just he could withhold, like even just the seven not being the seven. He's just like, no, I'm
mm,
going to tell you that right away, like immediately, that
yep,
these are not their gods, and
hmm
things like that. And same with Dalus. It was just like,
yep,
oh, he could have withheld that Byroth was with her until way later, and then Bayroth could have used that against him. It's like, nope, I'm going to tell you that right away, and just
hmm
things like that. He could continue to draw out. He he can. It's like he just picks and chooses his battles pretty
yep,
wisely. I think,
yep,
to where not everything is a mystery until the last 10
mm,
pages, like some author I
yep,
know.
yep,
I don't know who it
yeah.
is, but
Uh, the other thing I was going to say too is by the time we get to the Bone Pass, another really important thing has happened, and it was even again, I will say, even again at this point, we've not seen a whole lot of character development. Like I should say development. We have not seen a whole lot of the redemptive arc yet of
like
Karsa.
none. Basically
None.
none
I
at
mean,
this
none.
point.
He,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, I mean, as far as we know with these guys, they're all three of them are, pillagers, rapers, raiders, and rapers. But even so, like with the
Keep
whole
double
thing
upping
with,
on the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
rapers.
yeah, yeah. All right. I will stop. I will stop now. Yeah, we got the point.
Yeah.
So, but the whole thing with the tablet, with, Forcasol or
Forkrilla sale.
Forkrolla Sale.
They
Yeah.
also have they call them like Forcasol
Yeah.
or something. Like
Yeah.
they've got uh names that are not completely translated all the way, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
another fun, like realistic thing.
hmm
I think it just I thought that was pretty cool. But
Yeah. But like when she just turns and beats up Karsa, I was like, okay, fine. I kind of expected something like this would happen. But when Delum got thrown and cracked his head, I mean
Oh,
yeah, I mean that kind of hurt a little bit. Because out of the three, I liked him. I mean, in terms of endearing, like he was the
yeah.
one who could be the most endearing.
To me, even
Um,
Baroth, I liked
yeah,
Baroth from I can't remember if I liked him from Go, but I liked Baroth a lot as well.
they're the more mature characters. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. Um, I think, and of the three, I think the thing that makes it the most tragic is I think Delum is a very mature character, but also, or a more mature character than the other two. But he's also, I mean, he's, I think, the most loyal character.
Mm-hmm. He gets
Like
punished
he's,
for it too.
yeah, exactly.
And friggin'
And that's the
Karsa's
thing.
response to it is annoying too, because it's
Yeah.
like, oh well, like, because his whole thing is like they fight, they fight, they fight, and
Yeah.
then he to Bayoth, he's like, oh well, obviously this person was stronger, so like he should have known. He shouldn't have fought. It's like fuck you, dude. That's their whole thing. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, obviously I'm so smart because I knew not to fight this one, and he didn't,
Yeah.
and now he's brain dead. Sucks. It's just
Yeah.
like dude, you freaking butthole.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you're seeing the ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he can't accept what's happened because he just got utterly owned.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Delum. We didn't even talk really about the. There's a lot that leading up to that with the pillaging and the dogs and like there was like
Okay,
really
Nah was like one of the coolest.
no, it was awesome, and the scene with I mean Bayroth with the bear skull thing that he's like throwing was awesome, and the
Literally a bolo of a bear
yeah
skull.
yeah just awesome, and the scene of them on like I don't know if it was like a swamp, but I remember I was envisioning like basically a swamp with like a boardwalk with no rails and like that's
Picture
kinda,
picture like a tarry swamp.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And like the
yeah.
horses charging each other at that point and like also really cool battle. Lots of like surprisingly a pretty good amount of action, but to me it was just like some of the maybe because it's a lot smaller scale than maybe anything we've redded so far. But yeah, I just thought all those parts were great, and yeah, Nah was great, and then seeing Delum like become one of the pack was like heartbreaking, and another like classic Steven Erickson for me of just like in a million scenarios I never see coming. Delum basically gets brain damage to the point where he like assumes the role of a dog in their pack of a pack of dogs that they won the loyalty of from another clan. Like how do you it just how do you come up with it? And then his we'll get to his death too, but sad. And Na's death sad because Na's like got the three-legged lady dog.
Yep.
But yeah.
And so all this is sort of like leading up to this pass, and then they just have to make this absolutely groaning. I mean, there's a waterfall, so they're getting soaked.
Huge
and like
waterfall,
it's absolutely like just painful journey to the bottom. Super far, much farther than they thought. They're soaking wet, they're shivering, all the way to the bottom. And so
Rock
just
slides are coming
grueling.
down on top of them
Yep.
or behind them.
Yeah, and they have this sort of imagery of enemies on all sides. Like there's probably enemies above them, there's enemies below them.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're walking into.
Well, they know that one. So when the lowlanders, well, first of all, we got to go back and talk about the Forklift sale a little bit more. I know we talked a little bit more, but like how she got there, how long she's been there, because we know that she was basically the Jagged and Talani Moss worked together to trap her there.
Yep.
Which is this is like the first that we have, I think, ever heard of the Jagged and Talani Moss like handshaking on anything. So that we know that, I mean, just that alone, I don't think like I said, I don't think we had heard of the Fork Row sale. Maybe they're like the oldest people. I can't remember, or maybe that's someone else. But immediately I'm like, oh, she's bad. They are bad news. If these two warring people that hate each other with all of their being are like, okay, look, I know I hate you, but if we don't take care of this, we're both screwed.
Yeah.
So that's a big threat that is now unleashed and out in the open. And also just
Mhm.
really cool of like, oh, there's a third faction and they're worse.
Yeah. Because like my only thought would be that because they talk about her name is Calm. She's the bringer of peace.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
bringer of
so
peace.
my only thought is like with what's happened. I mean, because we see that peace probably means either annihilation or enslavement. And
Who
I'm get
does? Sorry.
like peace, like bringing
Oh, I
peace
see.
means
Yeah. Yeah.
annihilation or enslavement,
Yeah.
and that's what it seems like. And so because for them to band together, because that's the thing that they have in common, is there are people scarred by enslavement. And that does become a theme, a pretty significant theme in this book. Like the fact that the Teblor, for example, um, like despite all of their culture of raiding, like the thing that they will not do is enslave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They view that as a big no no.
Hmm.
But I think I'm very curious just as far as we talk about this going to predictions and desires, but like just the fact that one, she's never been released after all this time, because it seems like a very, very long time. And like now Karsa, especially with the character development we're getting into more of a redemption arc, is like there's going to be some consequences for freeing Calm, and probably not very good ones, I would imagine. And he's going to have to, at some point, going to have to deal with that. So I think that will be really interesting. But I'm excited to see more of the Forquil Assail,
Yeah.
and are they working with the crippled god? Are they above that even? Like, are they like, like in the role of like of angels kind of thing, or what? Yeah, I'm just very
Yeah.
intrigued by Calm.
My prediction is that Karsa will not meet Calm again. That's my prediction. My prediction is that she will be somebody else's problem. Like it'll be like the seven faces of the gods, or we'll see other characters from like the Malazans or from Raraku or things like that that'll have to deal with her, and we'll know how she got released and where she came from. But I mean, or maybe like I said, I could also there's it could be a classic like hero released the villain and then now they have to fight. But I kind of wonder if we never see them interact again.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I think the other thing that's interesting is like the Forquil Assail may not be the bad guys. They
mhm.
could have just been like this war between the Jagat and the Talani Moss are destroying this world, and we're going to put an
Yeah,
end to that for the greater
yeah,
good, kind of
yeah,
thing. But I did write down that she before she leaves, she warns
mhm,
Bayroth to protect Karsa. I was curious to go and find the actual thing she said, but I wrote that she warns Bayroth to protect Karsa until a pivotal moment in which she will kill him to bring peace. Now
yeah.
I can't remember if she was saying protect Karsa until I come and kill you and bring peace, or until I come and kill Karsa and bring
Karsa,
peace.
yeah, because
Because
I think the
that is
idea,
not brought to fruition, at least with
yeah,
Bayroth.
right. But I also wonder if it's not going to be brought to fruition for Karsa because the reason she says that at the time is because Karsa is like the Urugal chosen. So whatever the scheme is
Mm.
from these seven faces, he's the one who is going to be their salvation or the release or whatever. He's the pivotal character, the key, and whatever he's going to do is really important. Um, but I think that also depends on him doing it, wanting to please them, and I don't think he's that person anymore.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I wonder if they're not going to be at odds anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do wonder as well.
Hmm.
But super interesting part. Just yeah, all of it, and
Hmm.
the lowlanders are also going there to that
Yep.
to Calm, where Calm is to worship, or maybe just I don't know. I don't know what they were going to do. Some kind of ritual there, though, which is also interesting because if we're to believe that the Nathi are maybe descendants of Talani
Hmm.
Moss, kind of in the same way that the Templars are descendants of Jagat, like why are they going up there?
Hmm.
What does their people view that as? Do only because it's like some of them are which by the way, this is the first time that we get a little insight into that Karsa is immune. It's the first sorcerer or magic wielder that basically it happens multiple times, which is funny because he even like makes a joke about it later of like they go to use magic on him, and the last thing they do before they die is look surprised because it didn't work.
Yeah.
Which
which
happens a few times.
we get a revelation as to why that is, but we find out that one of the things that's very unique for his race, and I think it's also worth mentioning too that as far as we know, the Urid, which is his tribe, are the biggest of all of the tribes, of the Templar tribes. So in terms of the grand scheme of things, I would think that means his people are the most like pure blooded of their peoples. But
they're the highest up the mountain too, I think.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they're they're the furthest away. There might be one more that's as far away, the Phalids or Palids or whatever, but but yeah. And so what we find out though is that they have a whole culture built around bloodwood and blood oil, and that we come to suspect that it is like the fact that their swords are wooden, like is really cool.
What they do
it's
with their it's just really making me remember of like how they ride their horses, like no saddle, they're like up on their necks, and then they sprinkle the blood oil on their sword and let their horse sniff it to go into like war. That's so cool.
Yeah. I love the idea that their whole riding stance is dictated around protecting their horse. Super neat.
Exactly.
It's like that's their job, is to use their sword to deflect attacks.
It's awesome.
From the horse. Even if they need to use their body to deflect the attacks, they will.
Yeah.
Which is also, I mean, like they're much better at healing wounds than their horses would be. So it also makes a lot of sense from that perspective.
It's just another thing that Erickson just does so well is like the Teblor in my mind are real people, like and he's thought them through. It's not like he's just like, I'm gonna write these people down on the page, and no, it's like a full culture that he's created. And for seemingly, I mean, who knows, but for seemingly for us for almost nothing. I mean, like just the history of it, which is necessary to a degree, but with the reveal we get at the end, which we don't have to not spoil it, that he is the Toblakai from Deadhouse.
Yep.
I just don't know if there's going to be. I don't know if we ever go back to the Templor ever, and so Toblakai could have just been the Toblakai, and that could be that. But the fact that he's created this whole culture and tied it into the history of the Jagged and the Talani monsters is just awesome. And then things like that, how they protect their horse, how they ride on their neck. Yeah, it's just it's so cool. I love it. And they're giant horses too, because they're giant people. So thinking of like those them being that frenzied horses that are like, I don't know, I don't think they're like giant, but I imagine the horse is at least like 1.5x, maybe 2x times the size of a normal horse, and same with them. Like they are big, they are considered like giant, but
they're like 9 feet tall or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. So like 1.5x, basically like 1.5x a normal human.
So, I'm gonna read one short little piece from Deadhouse Gates, because I was sitting on that revelation for a long time, because I don't, for one reason or another, part of it maybe just how my brain works. When we started to see how he fought, I just had immediate flashes to Deadhouse Gates, and so I wanted to go back, and so I did, and then I read this part, which was when Kalam meets Leomen and the Toblakai, and he said, you tell yourself it must have involved magic because Kalam was ambushed by the two. The Toblakai snuck up behind him. And so he's like, he must have used magic. He says, you tell yourself it must have involved magic. You are wrong. My companion is Toblakai, an escaped slave from the Landaron Plateau on Genebakis. He's seen 17 summers and has personally killed 41 enemies. Those are their ears on his belt. And then later on, we come to find out that he has a wooden sword that he uses. And I was like, wait, hold on. Landaron, escaped slave, Landaron Plateau. Now, at this point, I'm like, I don't know he's an escaped slave, but like the Landaron Plateau is where they're from. It specifically mentions the Landaron Plateau in House of Chains as describing where their tribes are from. And I'm like, hold on, but like they have trophies,
A lot of the timelines are they start to sync up too. But I actually find sorry, I'll let you
Yeah.
finish reading that here in a
But
second. But I just
well,
found
no, that
like
that was the piece.
yeah, to me
Yeah.
it's like I didn't remember that just because it's just like there's
Yeah.
so much to remember, and I think what I was really focused on is like where are we in the timeline to where like
Yep.
obviously I feel like this is gonna be either if they aren't an already existing relevant character, they're gonna become a relevant
Yep.
character, and I think he played with time in a really good way to where I was like, I know pretty much where we are, but specifically, I can't pinpoint it. Even to the very end, like, because that really changes, in my opinion, like, them in Dead House Gates. Like, they must have, like, just gotten there. Like, just gotten there. Because
It could be the case, yeah.
or
But
yeah,
like
it can't have been too
the
far because they're about
yeah.
to rebel. They're talking about how the Seven Cities is
And
just
but,
about to rebel.
yeah, but it hasn't rebelled yet,
Hasn't
even
rebelled
by the end
yet.
of part
Yeah.
one.
So
Yeah.
I am. It can't have been too long
Yep.
before. It's Callum that shows up, right? Yeah.
Yep. Well, and so also note in terms of context, when they, when we finally like crash ashore with Torvald and Karsa, and we meet the Keeper, right, which will happen later. But they talk about Erliton or the city of
Yeah.
Erliton, like 15 miles from me. That's the city that Kalam and Fiddler and Absalar and Crocus.
Yep.
That's where they arrive.
Mm-hmm. And
So I feel like
Meneb is the guy that
mm,
Kalam gets the book from.
yep.
He's like the undercover guy who like apparently just betrays literally everybody. Like
Yeah.
he has one job and that is to betray everybody, which
Yep.
is hilarious. But yeah, it just yeah, exactly. All those things like just kept. I'm like, oh yeah, because I think when he's in north of Darujistan, maybe in the camp, they're talking about how, or I think it's when he's talking to Nam. It's like they haven't invaded Darujistan yet. They're
Yes.
just, I think they're just outside of Pale.
Yep.
Um,
We do go over the point in time in which Pale falls. That does happen. I can't remember because he mentions Moonspawn leaving and that he would have loved to see
yes,
it.
yep. So it's like right, yeah,
Which is
exactly
that's
right
the fall
on
of
Ben.
Pale.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can't remember how long it was between Pale and them getting to Darujistan, but like months maybe, right? It can't have been more
I
than
thought it
that.
was no, I thought it was a few years.
Was it a few years? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Then yeah, then
But
maybe it
also,
has
I mean,
been
this
longer.
journey. I mean, this is a journey, so like it
That's
is
true,
going to take
yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
To get to where he's going. But yeah, but I think that's right. And so I think we are. But I think the important thing is like we're not yet at a point where what we're seeing with Karsa is overlapping events that are taking place in Dead House Gates. Like they're not in the
Yeah.
Warren at the same time. Those guys like Hebrick and them are at the Warren. They're not in Erliton at the same time that like Fiddler would be at
Just
Erliton.
before, or
Yeah.
yeah, I imagine not too long before, but yeah, exactly. It's just like there's the context clues of obviously. I think the reason why I think it's the same ship is because I kind of remember. I didn't go back and look, but I do remember them mentioning when they're on the ship in the Warren in Dead House Gates, they go into like whatever you want to call it, the captain's quarters. And they specifically mentioned like the one with like I think maybe like the surprised look or something. The TC Dur specifically,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what Karsa does. He goes into that captain's hole and like kills them, and one of them is the sorcerer. So I do think it's the same.
I think you're right.
But then they also mention the Seven when they get there. They sprinkle some Otatarol dust because they're like, if we don't, or like because this is left open, it's going to create a wound. And then by the time Culp and them arrive, the wound is there. The wound is already there. It's wounded. Because they have to send someone up to seal it.
Yeah, but the wound that they deal with, I believe, is the wound from the mad.
It's a mad sorcerer. So, but I think that happens in between, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like we got what happens in House of Change. Somewhere after that, the sorcerer goes mad, whoever that is.
Well, and that makes sense because the sorcerer is mad from Ototoral madness, but so it literally could be. That would be kind of fascinating, but yeah, it could be some kind of effect like that where, because that's interesting that sorcerer would be mad and then go with them into that warren. Yeah.
Well, when they leave that warren, Sogar, who will we're jumping all over the place, but Sogar, who is a sorcerer, slave master, he says like basically we are following someone out of the warren, but we don't really know who. So I don't know if that's the sorcerer.
Yeah, it seems like it couldn't be, but it does raise some interesting. I mean, it wouldn't be
not in that moment, but maybe it's
exactly,
his warren that he uses, and he's has led them out, kind of thing. But yeah, just really cool. All of it's just really cool to be like, oh yeah, like I don't know, it does feel like we're being rewarded, certainly for putting in the work of learning the world, and I don't know, screw history, take out the history books, put in Malazan. This is the history we need and deserve in the world. It does. It feels, I think, to a degree, and I have a feeling I will continue saying it throughout the series. It's like I feel like I am learning a real history between. At first I thought it was going to be Malazan, but like honestly, it really feels like the Jagat and the Talani Moss are the center of everything, at least right now. Everything stems from them and their history. And Malazan are just kind of the here and now, and that's the time that we're currently in, and that's why they're like the forefront of it. But yeah, it's just super cool.
Yeah, and if I already mentioned, I apologize, but I did want to go ahead and make sure that I said that with the blood oil, like they basically have created like a whole system that uses Otatarol. At least that's what we're led to believe, and so that's also like where like the madness comes from. But it's kind of fascinating because the Malazans also have an Otatarol mine. In fact, we do see it mentioned several times. But like basically they use it as a way to prevent people from being able to access their warrens.
Yeah,
so there's like a whole there's like a whole other degree to which the Teblar are using it, and also the way in which the Teblar are using it. The Malazans and humans specifically are very afraid to use it that way. Like they would not like to coat their skin with it. They're very susceptible, and so we've only really seen one other individual who's had that kind of effect in him, which is Heberic, which is really fascinating. But yeah, so then we found out we now understand like why people go a little crazy if they ever get blood oil, or why sorcery doesn't work, because he's been using blood oil his entire life. So it's like Otatarol is like in his skin.
It's another one of those. It's like once I got the reveal, I was like, oh yeah, it's so obvious. It's like red and like it's just like but yeah, that was one of those things that like until the reveal I was just like, I think maybe the time just before it I wrote down like Otatarol or like similar to it, but it's basically the same. And an important part is I think we're led to believe that the Malazans do not know that there's Otatarol up in their mountains where the tribes are from. They just think it's specifically on the one island where they have the slave camps. So that that seems like there's an unlimited supply up there to be mined or harvested or whatnot. So that could be interesting. But yeah, I guess we can let's jump back to Silver Lake because a lot happens there as well. Where do you want to start? Just the reveal was fun for me.
Yeah. So they, because the next part I was going to jump to was that hit when they get to the Malazans, but obviously there's a lot of
the Malazans that are stationed in Silver Lake. Yeah. Well, yeah, we don't have to talk. I mean, most of it's pretty straightforward, but to me that was a great reveal when they basically turn the corner and they're expecting a farmhouse and it's like a town, a full town. It's just like that was a really cool again. Just like civilization, like history, this is what happens. But that was a cool moment. And then Karsa being like, I don't care. We're going anyways. And I think the biggest thing that happens there is really we get Delim's and Bayroth's deaths, which, man, Delim's was sad. When they first leave the camp, I can't remember who says it, but basically I think it's the village elders or somebody is just like, only one's returning. And I was like, okay. So two of these people are dying. I think a part of me thought maybe it was going to be Baroth that takes over at some point. Like we're led to
Yeah.
believe it's Karsa.
I wondered as well.
Yeah. So, but I think as soon as that thing happened to Dellum, I never thought it was going to be Dellum anyways, but as soon as the brain damage happens to Dellum, it's like, all right, Dellum's not making it, and he can't make it that far in his state. So it's still sad him dying, going to like save the dog along with Na, and Na also gets killed in the same way. But Byros is the whole like, and we've heard it before.
We're not for sure that Na is dead, but we're pretty sure Na is dead because he does get rescued by Karsa. He does get put down in the stable. Karsa asks for a blessing for Urgal to like give him strength and healing.
But the female dog, the 3-legged dog, she doesn't make it, right? And that's the one that Dellum is going to save. Yeah.
Yes.
But Bayroth's, I thought, was really that like was just a great scene because he says basically like, I think he says, "Witness me, war leader." Right? That's the line.
Lead me, war leader.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
you're right. But they say
that's what Karsa thinks he says.
Yeah, but I think their people say witness, right? They say witness to Urgal, like basically like which I think we've seen in, I almost want to say Memories of Ice. They started saying witness, because I think we made a witness me joke from Mad Max in a previous book.
Yeah. I can't remember, but yeah, that's what I think of every single time anyone says witness.
Exactly. It's badass though. Like it is just like a cool thing. But the lead me war leader is like a pretty haunting final line by him, especially with us knowing that he is to be, with Daedalus and he's got a child on the way, and what that's gonna do to Karsa, because Karsa has to like witness it. He's very like. And I think Karsa, we see it in this part. It starts to absolutely haunt him, getting his like cousin, and even though they bicker and fight, and I think they have a lot of love for each other, deep down. I think, and so I think that is going to start, especially as he changes as a person, Karsa. I think that's going to be one that sits with him forever. And how could it not? Like it's just a brutal scene, but very cool scene, I thought. Yeah,
because even though death is a pretty obvious part of their culture. I think we're meant to understand that these three guys have basically grown up together. They are three kids that have done everything together, and they're also they're the kind of group, right? That's like, because one of them is great, all of them have become great. Mm-hmm. They've constantly challenged each other, and they've become prodigies in their own right. And so they are like, they're probably in some sense like the best that the village has to offer in a way. Yeah. Like this is like the ideal group of Urid, men coming from this village. Yeah.
A couple other important things about Silver Lake is that they see that some of the because this is already after Bayroth gets killed, after Karsa has been captured. He's basically being like held there, and we find out that the Sunid, I think is how you say it, or however you want to say it, they are there enslaved. Some of the people are there enslaved, working for the Nathi. Mm-hmm. And Silgar, who is the slave master who basically brings Karsa out once he gets captured, which he only gets captured because he falls through a barn and gets impaled. And other than that, he probably could have done what he wanted to do. Who knows? But he was kind of rampaging on them, so I kind of don't doubt it. But they bring them to where they're facing each other, and Silgar, I think if I remember correctly, is basically like, tell us the layout of your tribes and all of your people, because we're going to go up there and enslave them too. We're going to do exactly what we did to the Sunid. We're going to enslave you and bring you down and have you work for us. And I think Bayroth, they ask him first, and Bayroth refuses. And that's why they kill him. And they're like, okay, we don't need you. We just need one of you. And so they keep Karsa. I don't remember if there's any reason other than Karsa's just, why did they choose Karsa over Bayroth? Is there a reason?
I think it's two things, which is one, Bayroth refused them, so he's already defiant. But two, he's in significantly worse shape. He's like half of his face is like shattered. Like he's in significantly worse shape. Yeah.
I just that's like a scene that if that I don't think there's a lot of people that want this adapted into like a TV show, and sure, I do too. It just seems like basically impossible to do, but that scene would be a great scene, I think. the lead me war leader. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, if they
Yeah.
crushed it, I think it would be a very memorable scene.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that Karsa doesn't put himself in that position because he's a coward. Like again, it's ego. He like the Urd are the biggest of the Teblor, and he can't fathom a world in which lowlanders can actually challenge his tribe. So he actually sees it as a defiance. He's like, yeah, go there, get yourselves all killed.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's his whole approach to it. He sees it as like his final act of defiance. It's like send them to the Urid.
Yeah.
Because they'll all get wiped out. But I think that's like going back to what we were talking about before about reading for the first time. I think, for me, that's where there's this element of one, I think Bayroth it starts to become aware of the existential threat that humans pose against the Teblor. But like we also know how clever people are. I mean, that's basically the whole history of the Malazan empires. Is they're just really cunning.
Yeah.
They have the cunning of
Odysseus. They're not
Odysseus.
the baddest. Yeah. They're just
And
they
so
utilize what they everything and anything to succeed.
Yeah, and so it's like we as readers like know that there's a real threat there if he starts giving away information, and that he just doesn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild scene, and then he becomes a slave.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet Torvald Nam for the first time.
Yeah.
So what did you think? I'm curious. What did you think of Nam, just in general?
Oh, I love this character.
Yeah,
it was great.
It's another one of those like, it's like almost shouldn't work. It's like, oh, another one of those like quippy guys. That's like, because at first you couldn't. At first he's more serious as far as like, hey, basically drown us. We're ready to die. Like we don't want to do this anymore. And then he's about to, he drowns the other. He does what they ask and drowns 3 of them. Torvald's last, and he's like, I didn't actually mean it. Like I didn't mean it. And then he kind of starts getting funny, and I was like, is this gonna be another like funny guy? And like he is, but it's still. I will say of all the ones, like obviously Krupp is the GOAT. But who was the guy in Deadhouse Gates that was he was like the shadow priest up in the caves?
Pust.
Pust?
It's actually, so I hate to do this, but I'll just pull up.
You got a sticky note. Matt will ask about this character at 10:38 p.m.
Iskarol Pust. So the reason why I say I hate to do this is because House of Chains, he's in the Dramatis Persona.
Yeah, okay, is he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, if a character is mentioned by name, they go in there.
Yeah, exactly. So someone could just
it doesn't
simply say it.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean he's in here.
Yeah.
In the same way, like Icarium is in there, so we don't know that Icarium's actually going to be featured.
Yeah.
His name was dropped, so he goes in the Dramatis.
Yeah. But he was kind of that funny character for me in 2, and then Krupp again in 3, and now Torvald Nam is kind of filling that role, but it just works. I feel like.
But I'd say Torvald's probably for me more similar to Tok the Younger before he was tortured.
Okay, yeah.
Where he has that sort of kind-hearted, loyal, quippy nature to him.
Yeah.
Like Torvald definitely comes off as someone who talks through his nervousness. Like that's just how he gets through things. He just keeps talking until something works out.
Yep.
But like the whole setup with him was great, where we find out he's this quippy character, but like we also find out that like this whole thing was just like he lied about his scurvy. He wasn't even his own tooth. And, like he wanted to be drowned so he could slide under the wood so he'd have a longer chain and could potentially get free. Like it was all just set up.
Clever,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so notably, I did write down that we do get an interaction between Karsa and some of the Sunid as they are bringing them back in after their work for the day or whatnot. And one of them gets named. I wrote it down in the let's see what's their name. Ganal. And they almost like. I think he says he's going to come back for them, if I remember correctly. So we might see Ganal again. I don't know. He got name dropped, which honestly means nothing in Malazan, I feel like. So we may never see Ganal again. But it felt, I don't know, something just felt like we might. And then also, any reason why you think Torvald Nam goes by Knuckles?
Oh yeah, I forgot that he mentioned that. So, I so my thought is that he is because I don't know that we've heard Knuckles before. Like that, I kept wondering about that. I was like,
I
is
can't
this
remember
someone we've
either.
heard before?
I know there's so many names that's like,
Yeah,
yeah, even Nam for me, I was telling you before. I'm
yeah,
like,
but
I was like,
I
Nam
haven't
sounds
looked at
familiar.
I haven't looked at the other Dramatis Personae. Yeah, well, so Nam is Ralik Nam is a part of the Assassin's Guild.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I could think was that he is like a criminal from Darujistan, and that is like one of his aliases that he goes
Mm-hmm.
by back in Darujistan is Knuckles.
Yeah.
But there's a joke about him possibly being a claw, which would be a little strange
Oh
given
yeah,
his
yeah. He
lineage.
he fakes being the
Yeah,
claw.
but it's worth noting that like the naming scheme is kind of similar, right? But we don't know that that's like the other claws we've met. Those that could just be the real name, like Pearl, for
Yeah.
example.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, he just does not give claw to me.
no, I don't think
But
so
maybe.
either.
I mean, it would be like the ultimate disguise. Just like, I
Yeah.
mean, Krupp didn't give like
Mhm.
super, super powerful wizard basically to me,
Mhm.
and yet here he is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does make sense as if you're going to disguise yourself. Or maybe he's another Talon that
Yeah,
that is
that's
out there.
hmm
I don't know right now if if I have any thoughts as to what or who he is or where he'll show up. Um, to me, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know where I think he's going, but that's our first interaction with the two of them, and it's very like a begrudging friendship that they form, and they agree to.
hmm
He frees Torvald Nam, and who is immediately captured by the
Yep.
Malazans, which is hilarious. And then Karsa basically breaks out and goes on a rampage again.
Yeah.
And I am curious because I feel like I do think seeing Bayeroth get killed like that is like the inciting incident of his change. But also, obviously, I think the reality is when he escapes the log, it's not that far after, but he does
Yeah.
continue to, he basically rapes a woman again by giving her the blood oil,
Mhm.
against her will, kills her
Mhm.
husband, gives her the blood oil, and then she pounces on him. But like, I mean, we can call it what it is. I think it's basically
Yeah.
rape.
Yep.
And so there's a part of me that I'm like, I do think that's it's intentionally put in there, not just to show us how. I want to believe that it's not just to show us how the blood oil works on like a human. I think that's
Yeah.
part of it, but I do think that still shows a part of Karsa's character that is like I said, it's not really been very long, so he's still
Mhm.
egotistical and still shitty
Yeah.
in our eyes, and again, that is
Mhm.
part of the culture. So he's
Yeah.
not. It's not
Well,
like he's
and it's important to note that
turned a
that's like
blind.
the leader's house. That's the leader of the town's house.
Oh, I guess I totally missed that. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So I think that's exactly it. Is like
Yep,
she's like
that
in the
makes a
leader of
lot
the
more
town's
sense.
house, and then like that's the daughter, I believe. And so it's again, it's this thing of like, I just killed your leader. I'm a war leader. I own this town.
Yep,
It's
that
that
makes more
supplanting
sense.
of authority. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so he's still very much the same Teblor that came down the mountain. He's still doing the same things.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then he the Sogar and throughout this we kind of start to get like who is who and where the Malazans
Mhm.
fit into this. There's someone named Demisk,
Mhm.
who is Malazan. Kind of, I think they're occupying the town separate from
Mhm.
Sogar, and the Nathi that are there.
Yep.
But Karsa wanders into trying
I
to
don't know if
escape.
Damask is Malazan. I think he's a bounty hunter.
I think
I mean, he might be
I
Malazan,
thought
but
he was Malazan.
because they always say Silgar, Damask, and the Malazan commander. It was like one of the or Malazan captain. I think is the one that he's saying. But
Mm.
he's with Silgar. Um,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think
yeah, you're
he's
right. That does
even
make sense because, so
he's
yeah,
even
maybe
mostly with him
that's what
too.
where I was getting held up on it.
Um, Yeah, it's because he's a Nathi. Damask, yeah, because it's Silgar, Damask, and then Borug are the three Nathi
Mm-hmm.
that we see.
So he's just like just someone working with. I
Yep,
mean,
he
he's
works with
not a
Silgar.
sorcerer. He's just but he's also not the slave master. He's just someone working
Yep.
for Silgar.
Yeah, Silgar is the
Oh,
sorcerer
henchman.
and slave master.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he does the legwork. But that the scene with okay, so I was gonna say
Yeah, bring us to that scene.
the scene with the Malazan where so basically Karsa's on a rampage for the town, and the way he gets caught is that he gets a sense of this location, another house he needs to go into. It's in the eastern direction, and he basically knows a couple of things. Number one, he knows that currently the bounty hunters are going to go west because they're going to assume that that's where he's going to go. And then two, he knows the Malazans are on the east side of the town, and he believes that the Malazans are people who enslave other people. At the very least, he does not like the way that they
Yeah, he
imprison
hates
people.
Malazans. I forgot.
So
After
he's like,
Torvald
and,
talks to him.
and that's another one of those vows things. Like even in prison, he's been captured. And he's like, add more vows. He's like, I'm gonna take out all the Malazans, vow war
Yep.
against them.
Yep.
So he gets a sense of this location, kind of almost like an armory. It appears somewhat empty, but it's another house he hasn't gone into. But he knows to be on guard, so he sort of bursts in, and this becomes his downfall because he falls right into an ambush and then gets trapped under a sorceress net, and the Malazans are on top of him. And then the Captain Kindly, I think, is the one who comes in.
Yes, Captain Kindly.
Yeah. And then we just get like we get of this book so far, the only scene that has just evoked classic Malazan humor, rhetoric. Just reminds you a lot of the Bridge Burners.
Yep.
Where he just comes in, he's like, "Who gave you back your weapons?" Like, "Oh yeah, your sorcerer did." He's like, "Remind me to like basically put the guy in the brig." He's like, "Well, but if he hadn't done that, then we wouldn't have captured this guy." He's like, "Okay, but how about the next time you're in a bar?" He's like, I'll look past it this time. But the next time you're in a bar, maybe don't get in so many bar fights."
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like classic for the Malazan. But I also, when you were talking about if this was your first read, it's kind of also crazy that was a very short scene and that it basically captures for you the heart spirit of the Malazan soldiers.
Yeah.
Like they are extremely clever, like they are very resilient emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and like they are soldiers who, regardless of which side they're on, can evoke like a sense of camaraderie.
Yep.
From you, and a sense of a sense of justice in the spirit rather than in the law. And it's just, it's very cool. That scene was just like, this is classic Malazans.
Yeah.
This is just so great.
Even the end of this, Silgar comes in, he's like, "Oh yes, you've captured my slave," and like, no. He's here in our building, and we captured him, so he's actually a prisoner of the Malazan army, and we're taking him. It's just like
I love the fact where he's like, Silgar's like, "Okay, so you probably want me to bribe you, right?" He's like, "Actually, I wanted you to start with the bribery. Now that you didn't."
Yeah, it's just
We're going to plan B. What's plan B? Captain, this guy tried to bribe me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's just great scene. And just I mean, I was not expecting any of that really. And then that is really, I think, our second time that we see Karsa basically his immunity to magic, because the net that he's got on, they keep asking him like, "How strong is that net? Isn't that pretty strong?" He's like, "Yeah, if it were like a human, they would be like dead." Dead. No. And the captain's like, well, just keep it on him for, across the whole fucking continent, and we'll see what happens. We'll bring him to the mines, and if he makes it, great. And if not, then it is what it is. So, then they head out with, really, I think, just Karsa and Torvald. Are there other people they're bringing with them? Maybe there are, but of relevance.
I mean, presumably yes, but these are the two characters we're focused on, and clearly Torvald becomes the keeper for Karsa. And then the other notable thing is that so the net starts to loosen. Karsa is able to break free of the net, but he's still relatively weak from being basically forced into a crouched position.
Yeah.
And then they knock him out by breaking a shovel over his head.
Yep.
And then they chain him down. And so he comes up with this plan. And this is where we start to see the character change. He comes up with a plan that he is going to pretend to be just basically broken
Yeah,
in
brain
the
dead
head,
or yeah.
in a sort of semi-vegetative state, like Dellum. He's
Yeah.
basically going to pretend to be just out of his, just lost mentally, and so this combined with the long journey kind of forces him to stop talking and just listen.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just spends that entire time listening to Torvald just talk about. And it's really cool. Like, so Torvald teaches him Daru, he teaches him Malazan, he teaches him what he knows about the continents and the places. And we're kind of just meant to understand that throughout this entire journey that he's just listening, because if he talks too much, he gives away the whole gig.
Yep.
Um, and so I think that, yeah, like he had to endure a lot, spiritually speaking, and he kind of comes to rely on Torvald as his like anchor to sanity,
Yeah.
which is a really like kind of neat thing that he comes to realize without this lowlander, like he wouldn't have had, like he needs hope and he wouldn't have had it at
Yeah.
all. Um,
Yeah, I
and
also
so
think
I thought,
without Nam too, like I think this is also a moment for Karsa where he's being very reflective on his culture in general. He starts to kind of reevaluate his father
mhm,
in his people and question his
mhm,
gods, which yeah, I think it's a long reflective period for him as well. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it is like really the biggest moment of like here's the here we go, we're getting the change going.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So what other kind of fun fact, sort of a side tangent, but we sort of brought up the idea of like folklore, and I mentioned the raid cycles. So if you're familiar with mythology, anybody who is probably aware of the fact that there's like Greek gods and Roman gods and the pantheons. All the different pantheons, in fact, have a lot of mirror images of each other, where you'd have a god in one with a different name in the other, but they're basically like the same, like Ares and Mars, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like gods of war. So in the Irish mythology, they have a god who is the analog of Hercules. So Hercules, the trials, but they actually view Hercules as a kind of poet. He's a poet archer. Because in the folklore, what they teach is that the words are like arrows, that the right ones will deal more damage than an arrow that pierces flesh. That basically, to be a good warrior, you must also be a good poet. You must have the right words at the right time. And so they view that kind of covenant, that kind of cunning, that kind of cleverness as something really, really important. Like think like the strength of Hercules, right? Like think about like words being more important than the strength of Hercules. And then there's this moment where Karsa realizes, he's like, there's been these serpents that have been trailing me, and they were words, and I never knew it. And I thought that was really cool prose,
Oh yeah.
and it's kind of a really interesting moment of like reflection where he's like, I didn't see myself as a clever person, so I always pushed this away and respond with violence.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was my language, and he's like, but that was stupid. Like that was, yeah, and I need to grow past that. So that
Yeah.
was like a really cool,
Yeah.
moment.
I'm looking through my notes now of kind of just what happens next because obviously they're working their way across the continent, get to the sea where they
Yeah.
put in. I think this is yeah. So the thing that I'm misremembering or I can't remember is I think it's just here they just go on separate ships, right? That's why they get separated from the Malazan crew. Like where's because they're on a ship.
The Malazan crew is being dispatched to reinforce, and my understanding is
Okay.
I think they are going to reinforce the seven cities.
Okay. Yep.
So
Makes sense.
that's again kind of kind of alluring to the rebellion and everything. So they will probably be going to Aaron, is my suspicion. I can't remember if they said specifically.
So
And then
who is Karsa on the ship with? Because they don't just hand him over to Silgar, right?
it's a crew. It's like it's
Yeah,
not
some
a
other crew.
merchant crew.
And
It's
Silgar and them are on
basically
another ship.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Or
no.
are they on the same
Silgar is
one?
the same ship.
Okay.
The Malazans and Silgar split, and now
Mm-hmm.
they're on a ship that is under the employ of Silgar. He's hired the captain.
Okay.
Now, and the captain does not like Karsa one bit. I mean, they're ready to even throw this guy overboard.
They
And
basically
so,
like chain him to the mast,
yep,
like up. I imagine it almost like a crucifixion, kind of is how I
yep,
imagined it
yep,
on the mast, or like
yep.
Bob from What About Bob. I don't know if you've ever seen one about Bob.
Yeah.
They have to tie him to the mast because he's afraid of everything. But once he's up there, he's living his best life. But not Karsa, not Karsa.
No, and then of course this all comes to a hard end whenever they start getting struck by lightning, which just starts zapping people left and right, destroys the ship, and they take on water, it kills over. The sailors are freaking out. They think that Karsa was his having this vision, which is really important, but he was raving. And so they thought that his mad ravings, that he placed a curse on them and called forth this god, and that now they were being attacked, which could be true. But at the same time, it is interesting that, of course, after this fact, they go into the Warren, and this is exactly what was happening to Stormy's ship. I believe it was Stormy, the small crew that was going to save Heberick. Same thing that happened to them, and also there was the same events that preceded them going into the Warren, was the being attacked by lightning bolts. Now this is also pretty dramatic. Storms, lightning bolts, like chains from the sky is the way that they refer to it. But yeah, it's the same exact fashion of events that occurred right before Hebreck and all of them went into the Warren.
Yeah.
And then of course they end up in this sort of frothy, milky, shallow mixture of water, and then they find all these ships and all of this, and all of that. But the sort of interesting thing that leads up to that raving is, I believe this is when Karsa has the vision, right? I can't remember if this is when he has the vision of the chained dead, or if that's later. Of the dead clawing, of trying to claw him.
Yeah.
But he does have like a meeting with Urgal, where Urgal is like, I'm going to abandon you.
Yeah.
And then he says, maybe not. But there's going to be an important note where they talk about he gets a vision of all of the people he's killed clawing after him to drag him down. To like basically
they're
basically
like chained to him too. It's like everyone is
that's chained to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then part of the significance of that is, we'll get that mentioned again. The keeper will say he's like a man with chains to poison. But then when Heberick meets Toblakai in Deadhouse Gates, he even talks about the fact, he's like, you can't see the bodies he's chained to, the men, the women, the children, which of course now that takes on a whole new meaning, because the children might actually just be people. There's men that he's killed because it's from his perspective.
Yeah.
And so that was really fascinating to kind of get that imagery of, he's walking with all of these sort of souls chained to him.
Yeah.
And that's also, by the way, imagery we've seen with somebody else too. I mean, that was with Jacovian. But it was a different kind of imagery. Which is really Ikovian. I always consider it right.
I like
Jacovian,
it.
but Ikovian. But we saw the same kind of imagery with Ikovian, but different, right? Ikovian walked with the weight of many souls, but it was the souls whose sorrows he brought on himself. Yeah. Whereas here, Karsa walks with chains to souls because of the shame, the guilt, the haunting, right? And so it's really fascinating.
Yeah, super cool. And another thing that's worth noting, and maybe this is where we talk about the prologue, because when they're in, I did find a little bit difficult to, I couldn't remember if we had gone into one Warren, or maybe we Warren jumped at some point and we went to two different Warrens. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day, but when they're in one of the Warrens, they see the coast. And the coast is not a coast; it's a wall, which I think is the wall. That's this Warren. That's this Warren, the Warren that Heberick and all of them were in as well. Yeah,
that's the same one. Yeah.
Which I don't think we have it confirmed, but I don't know if you're on board with me, but I do think that is the wall we see in the prologue. That the troll Sengar or something. Let me see. Troll Sengar is chained to eventually drown. And so here's where it gets a little, I guess I spoiled it for myself by reading the Dramatis Persona. Not reading it, but finding Troll Sengar's name in it. Because at this point, I hadn't really, this was the unlock for me when I saw his name. So have you looked at that? Or do you want to? Do you want me to say it?
Let's look at it, yeah.
So he is a Tiste Edor. which I don't think I knew. I didn't know. I didn't know he was a T stevedore. You just know that he's part of a people, that he is basically been chained to. They call it the shorning, the people, which is considered the worst possible fate for his people, for accusing his leader of serving a hidden master, who I think we are to assume is the crippled god. This is after something called the Great Sundering of the Warrens has happened. And that we also know that Troll's people have been searching for something for, I think, 900, and it tells us in the beginning how long the search has been. 927 years? 943 days of the search.
Yep.
So they are searching something for their hidden master that they don't know is a hidden master. And so I think Troll's I don't know if he's going to die. I'm not sure, but something of note is he's a T stevedore on this wall in this warren, in which is the same warren that the T stevedore are on this ship controlling, so it's like maybe these people were just out on their search. When Karsa and them come upon them, but I didn't really make that connection other than that it's the same wall. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the same wall, but I didn't think that he was a T stevedore until that. But that
raises an really interesting question though, because they do specifically mention when like Silgar and them, they mention that there's a broken piece of the wall, like as if I think they even use the language as if somebody had opened it or somebody had gone before them. But they talk about it as like a breach.
There's logs blocking it up, and they're basically about to get sucked into it at some point.
Yeah,
and that's why because at some point the ship wrecks. They think that Karsa and Torvald think they're the only ones remaining. They fight off these giant catfish, which are awesome. Just a cool, that was cool. Little giant catfish. And then they kind of end up on a boat. They're starving. They're basically about to die. And then I can't remember if Karsa is still chained. I think he's free at this point, right? Torvald has freed him, which, props to Torvald. He's like just a normal guy, I think, as far as size and everything. And he's carrying around the weight. He saves Karsa many, many, many times, keeping him afloat, giving him water. But then, as they approach this wall, they see... They thought that Silgar and everyone else died during that storm. Yep. But nope, Silgar still lives because, of course, he does. That guy always lives. And so they basically convince them, like, we got to work together, I think, right?
Yep.
And so they get back together. And then let me get back to my notes. They go through the warren and spit back out.
So there's a warren it's currently closing. And they're able to get through it, but it's not big enough, and so half the bottom of the ship gets sheared.
Yes,
and then one of their members, he was lower in the boat, and so he got his leg sheared off.
Is that Borug?
Borug, yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it because when they come out the other side, it's nighttime and they're in deep water.
Yeah.
Which of course exactly what you'd expect to happen happens. They're in some kind of, like mixed water. They're in mixed water, right? It's a perfect place for sharks. They're not too far from a coral reef or a reef of some kind. They're bleeding profusely into the water, and then shark appears.
Yep.
And
eats Borug.
Yeah. And then Karsa's like, nope, that's my guy.
Yep.
And then basically just goes in the shark's mouth and pulls out this like chewed up just chewed up, sheared individual. He's like lost an arm. He's lost 2 legs.
But he's dead at this point, right?
He was already dead. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just pulling the dead body along as basically his trophy.
He's not doing this to save them. It's like he had promised to carry this person ashore. So whatever's left of him is getting carried to shore.
And it's an interesting thing because I think they make note that Karsa, like, I don't know if he's very buoyant or just strong.
They do say that. But he's got 4 lungs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 4 lungs. That's what it is. Because like when he goes to kill the shark, it's almost like he had stepped on a rock and launched himself out of water, which they're in deep water, so you can't do that. But just, with the extra lungs, he was able to go way up and go basically down straight into the shark's mouth, which was really cool. But
Yeah, because you can just imagine he's 9 feet tall with 4 lungs. So these
Yeah.
are not like he's got larger lungs than we would have. He's got 4 of them, and he can take these huge gulps of air.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got like an internal, I don't know what you would call it, but like flotation device.
Yeah, here if you put a
Uh,
bunch of Teblor together and string them up, you can
mhm.
recreate the movie
Yeah.
Up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty cool.
I was thinking you were gonna say like if only Tom Hanks had a few Teblor, then maybe we'd have gone off the island faster or something.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
could
guess so.
ride
Yeah,
the.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're kind of we're quickly approaching the end. So they do they kind of get separated again because Torvald sees this light and they go towards it, and Silgar and whoever go off the other way, and so they come across this. I don't think it's a. I wrote a lighthouse, but I think as we got closer, I was like, oh, it's not actually a lighthouse.
No, it's
It's
more
just
like
like a light in the house.
we're seeing the light through his window.
Yeah, exactly.
He's cooking or he had a candle or
Yeah.
something.
But it is like a tall
He's
like
building a
tower-esque.
tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like half built because he's like.
Well,
Yeah, so
he's got the roof on it as of now. It's just
Yep.
too small. But yeah, we basically meet Keeper, or I did write his real name down, which is something wild. Ba'ayan
yeah.
Rock, in which he's just been piecing together the skeleton of a Leviathan.
Yep.
Whatever that means.
Yep.
Any
I don't know how
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it's a soul taken because the Dinrabi I think are some of the biggest that we've seen, but this is like even bigger than that. So that's what it seems like. It seems like some kind of large sea serpent soul taken, and it's long dead.
Yep.
And he's been gathering the bones, and trying to just rebuild it because he just thinks it's super cool, and that's the thing he does.
Yeah. There was a part of me at some point when I was still unsure of like timeline. I feel like I still am a little unsure of like, so like at this moment, right? They're with Keeper.
Yeah.
Where are Fellison and Heberick, and are they in the Warren now? Are they off of the Ototoro Island? Are they kind of coming up behind them now?
I would imagine that they're on their way to the Ototoro Island, or they are currently there.
Yeah.
Is I think where we would be.
Okay. Because I was wondering, like, if we were a little bit further along, I was like, man, what if this are the bones of Fenner or something like that? When Fenner gets drawn into the world and like a dead guy.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be that big, and also I don't think Fenner's dead. I think Fenner is still alive. I think he's hiding.
I think he is too, but yeah, if enough time had passed, like maybe he had or something. Like these are the bones of like a god or something like that, which could have been cool. But yeah, as far as like location stuff, it doesn't add up. Time wise, it doesn't add up. But I hope it is like something like that, because yeah, my first thought was a Dinrabi, and I was like, that's cool, but what if it's just like something crazier than that? Because he seems to have some special qualities to him as well. He's strong as shit.
Way stronger than he should be. He has they were introduced him as a Napan, and I think Torvald even asked him, or Nam asked him if he's from like the Kwantali region, which is like a little bit further away than the Nap Islands or the Napan Islands. But the Napan are humans. I mean, like Empress Lacine, we were talking about this. Empress Lacine is a Napan. Like he shouldn't be what he like as strong as he is.
He breaks.
He's
Karsa's
way
ribs.
faster and way stronger
With
than
like a punch.
Karsa. Yeah.
Yeah. And it humbles Karsa real quick.
Yeah.
Even
though he is definitely much older than Karsa.
Yeah.
It does not matter. But more importantly, he's also from Aaron, or at least he had spent significant time there, which is under Malazan control. And he is also, he's someone who's faked his own death. And not only has he faked his own death, Lacine is the one he faked his death from, because she's looking for him. Because the very next quote at the beginning of the next chapter is from Lacine, asking if any drowned Napans have been seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the part of me, like the thing I thought about immediately was Dassam Alter, who is the first sword of the Malazans, who's not been replaced, and we know the first swords are blessed. So it could explain, like if he's Dassam, that could explain his enormous strength. But but also I don't know if Dasam's ever been introduced as a Napan.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever been introduced as anything, though. To be fair,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it certainly
And
could
I
be.
also don't know. Like, it could also be the case that Torvald just thought he was an Napan. I don't even know if he really introduced himself or really said he was.
Is there any chance that it could? Do we know what the actual emperor was before the scene? Like what his race was?
Well, it's not Kalanved, because Kalanved is the not the one he overthrew, because Kalanved is Shadow Throne.
Yeah, but he could appear as. Couldn't he
Anything,
just appear
sure.
as? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, couldn't he in this moment, like he needs to be there to guide them, so he's.
Yeah.
So I mean, in theory, I guess
it
could be, but I don't know. In that case, he would need to be appearing as he would have had to have been a Napan anyways, which I don't know if he was or wasn't, but someone. It's probably someone of relevance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
so
but I think you're probably more right that it's Dasam Alter.
Yeah, but I think at the very least, I think he is an Napan or Napan. I think Empress Lucine is looking for him. I think he's of significance to the Empress or the Malazans. And so I don't know if it's Dassam, but I think that there definitely is a connection there.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping we'll get to learn more about it.
Yeah, I definitely think we will.
Yeah.
So they kind of go on. They help him take down his roof so he can build it higher to fit the Leviathan's bones, and then they get supplies and money from him. And they head towards Erliton so they can find passage home, back to home, home.
I do love that scene though, where he gives a bunch of money, and they're just like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Well, here's a couple things. So one, I have a lot more money," but he's like, number two, it turns out that when you're trying to convince the world you're dead, it's really hard to spend lots of money.
Yeah. Yep, makes sense.
He's like, didn't really think about that part of it.
Yeah.
When I escaped with all this money.
Yeah. So, just like in Avatar, if you're sick of it in Avatar, maybe you're sick of it here. Karsa and Torvald are captured once again by Sogar and some Iraq tribesmen that they have now commissioned or hired or whatnot.
Yep.
And this part was a little bit confusing to me as far as like Torvald, I think, recognizes that they are scared of these people called the Graal or Grail.
I think he knows that, because I think he knows the culture.
But he it almost makes like a recognition when they're like whispering like Graal, 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 and then it kind of he's like, I've got a plan.
No, that happens afterwards. They start whispering it after he lights a fire. No, he sees that they're specifically using dung for their fires. So that way there won't be a heavy light. It's effectively like charcoal, right? So it's like the smoke will not be visible. There's basically no light.
Yep.
So, and I think he knows that the Graal do not like them, and he knows where they are regionally speaking, because he's familiar with Erliton. So I think he puts it together. He's like, these guys are clearly hiding from someone. I bet if we send out a huge flare, it's going to be chaos.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happens.
Right. Yeah. And for that, he dies. But
not really. It's just a knife to the throat, okay?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of it's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, it's just a flesh wound.
So the Graal come, kill all the Iraq. Torvald gets his throat slit, and then Karsa basically gets taken by Sogar again, saying like, we're getting out of here. And so they take him out.
Yeah.
They leave Torvald dead, but not dead. The last thing we see is Torvald like kicking, basically like barely kicking with his throat slit. So I don't know if I ever thought he was dead, but at some point it felt like he left it open. Like even Karsa like never sees him die, but then I think like one scene later, Karsa is like inner monologuing, saying like Torvald is dead. I was like, oh, I guess is he dead? Like, but Karsa thinks he's dead. He thinks he sees him die. Sad Karsa. But they leave via a warren, and they basically show up at this Malazan encampment, and they're like, our slave. And the Malazan's like, where's his marks? Where's his tattoos? And so I was like, oh, yeah, well, you see here, And yeah, they just basically don't buy it and take him. And again, the Malazans basically take Karsa from Sogar. The worst villain. He's the worst.
Yep.
Like, he's bad at being a villain, and he's a piece of shit. Like, he's just... He's awful. And they basically throw him in one of those. I don't know if it is what it is, but like one of those like things from medieval times where like your arms.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
He's like being shamed in the courtyard, which is hilarious. And then we kind of learn that Karsa is gonna be put on a very similar run that Felison was, where all the prisoners are chained up. They walk to the boats. From this compound, and then they are sailed off to the Ototoro mines.
Yeah, which is notably what was already essentially.
I know
the Malazans would have done with them, right? So it's just
like the detours for this enslavement are it's pretty wild. But so he meets a blue-eyed, right? He's blue-eyed.
Yes.
Yeah, blue-eyed fellow prisoner, in which they kind of. In a similar way that Torvald did, they kind of make an agreement that they're going to work together. And he kind of fills them in on what's happened. What's that?
He's notably a native.
A native. He kind of fills them in on what's happening and that they're going to work together. So then they are all lined up outside. Let's see if I'm missing anything in between them. Oh yeah, they did tattoo his face, Karsa's face. They make it look shattered.
Yeah. So it's the yeah, well, so I don't know what that means.
I think they just said there's so many lines and crisscrosses that like it almost appears that it's like shattered.
Well, it's like a broken pane of glass, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I envision it. Which is kind of badass. I feel like I would love to see some fan art of that. Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of funny because they were like, they were basically joking about it because they were like, you shouldn't have done this because now he just looks downright terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, now he's actually
now he's really scary.
He was ugly before, which was fine because he was ugly, but now he's like frightening.
Yeah.
Like,
But
I think what kind of the neat thing there is that it's the mark. So even though he didn't have the mark of a slave, and they took both of them into custody for that, this is the mark of an escaped slave.
Mm-hmm.
So
So now he is like officially a slave of the Malazan by tattoo marked.
And so in some sense, there's like they were taken in custody not because Silgar is not because he has a slave, but it's like because he illegally has a slave because he doesn't have the proper like paperwork in order.
Yep. And isn't Silgar at some point talking about like people in I think it's him that's like mentioning like, because it's like right when they poof there and the guards are coming up and he's like, I'm gonna lie and tell him that whatever, he's talking to Damask or whatever his name is, and they're talking about, I think it's Aaron, and how like things have gone to shit there, and especially now that the Red Guard have showed up, they're talking all these guard, all this like weird politicking that we all know. It's like everyone's involved in everything, it seems like, but I did find that to be notable. But I think is this when this is in my notes where I put blood oil is Ototoro adjacent.
Yep.
And I can't remember.
That's when he mentioned they Leomin, which we find out that the blue-eyed native is Leomin. Leomin and Karsa, they talk about this.
Okay.
That he comes to the realization that Leomin comes to the realization that Karsa is more immune to magic, sorcery. Because I think he talks about the fact that Karsa notices that the Malazan guards have sages or mages, and he makes like a quirk or a snide comment about it, of like how he doesn't understand why there are mages because they're completely useless. And then Leomin's like, well, no, they usually, if they use magic, it just blows people up, so they're not very useless. He's like, every time it happens to me, I just kill the guy.
Yeah, I think that's why he's like, they just look surprised when they die.
And he's like, interesting. Now, the reason why this comes up is because Stilgar was given an Ototoro bracelet.
Yes.
And that's kind of what,
when he's, and I think this is the moment where he's like, do not tell the Malazan that you have this, otherwise they are going to destroy your people, basically. And And so they are chained up overnight outside this building, now ready to, crack of dawn, go down to the boats. And I think Karsa either passes out or whatever, but some point in the night he wakes to Torvald rescuing him. Torvald, and I think with the Grawl.
Grawl.
Yeah,
Yep.
because they've formed a trade, a partnership. With the Grawl and the House of Nam.
Yeah. Well, so notably, that's what the House of Nam apparently does. They are the go-to middlemen for any transactions between the Grawl and the Malazans.
Yeah.
And so he's connected with the House of Nam and has effectively used that relationship of his house to get the Grawl to do them some favors.
Yep. And so that's they also notably kill literally everybody.
They basically go through. They basically go through because apparently they don't like prisoners unless they're of ransoming value. So they literally go through and like you can almost picture it like this, where they're like taking on this favor and they're gonna like go ransack these prisoners, and they're like, "Well, this is our bounty. Like we're gonna have a bunch of people we can ransom." And they go through and they're like, "None of these people mean anything. Like they're all nobodies." And it's like, "Yeah, just kill them."
Start at the very end of the line, like, "Hey, are you Karsa?" No. And they get to the next guy. Yeah. Are you Karsa? And they're like, "Yes." And they look over to Torvald, and he's like,
no.
And they finally get to the very front end, and it's there he is. It's Karsa. But
I can almost picture it going a different way. They're like, "What does your dad do?" He's like, "Oh, he's a farmer." You're dead. Like, "Oh, what does your dad do?" Like he sells bread. You're dead. Like, what does your dad do? He is insanely rich. Is that true? No, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
What does your dad do? He's a merchant of many vessels. Would he ransom you? No, you're dead. Like,
so yeah, no one there is worthy. But I can't remember. Somewhere in this, Silgar and Dem escape yet again somehow. I can't do we? I think when he wakes up, they're just gone already. I think he assumes they have been killed, but they're just not in their shackles anymore. Right.
Yeah, so I would say that it's likely that they didn't escape, but rather they had been moved, that they weren't in their shackles, and that now that Kars has escaped, so it could be because they come with a contingent of Malazans. So it's probably a lot more likely that kind of some of the stuff we had heard is true. He was being jailed for breaking the laws. He can pay a fine for it, but now that Kars has escaped, the Malazans need to go get him. And who's the best person to take with him, right? You take the
Silgar's clearly proven himself as an incredible keeper.
He's clearly ingenious, but from their perspective, he's basically the equivalent of Jafar from Aladdin. He's just gonna try really hard and get nowhere.
There is a part of me that wonders, like, maybe is he the guy that knows Mibra? Maybe he uses that as leverage. Like, I know a guy. Because Mibra is not kind to the Malazans, if I remember correctly. He's not. He's not friendly with them, I thought.
Mibra's not, but I think it's the Crimson Guard, isn't it? That are the ones hunting down Kalam. So it could very well be that. So I mean that makes the most sense. Is that he tells Silgar,
like, I got a guy, maybe.
Yeah. Or that Silgar is able to find out because he's a slaver and not a Malazan.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot more likely. But, I think it's just a combination of he's an escaped slave. This is the guy who knows him. And also Silgar is supposedly his master. So,
yeah, and he's a mage. They got a mage right there. They cut off his bracelet and whatever.
But. And he's also the one tracking Karsa. He can track Karsa. So,
but Torvald does say, like, I'm freeing you. I think he says, like, basically, like, I can't remember if he says if you're ever in, like, if you're ever in Darujistan, like, come see your boy Torvald Knuckles. But he doesn't go with them. It's just the blue-eyed prisoner and Karsa who escape. Blue-eyed prisoner's like, I know where to go. I know exactly where to go. And so they go and meet Mebra and basically go into the tunnel underneath Mebra's little hideout, and they just go into the desert and escape, basically, and blue-eyed guys just like, trust me, bro. Like, I'm native. You can go off on your own. You're more than welcome to, but you'll probably die. So if you want to follow me, you're more than welcome to. And I think Karsa agrees. And we find out Malazans and Sogar and Damask, or however we want to say his name, are pursuing them because Mebra gives them up because Mebra is loyal to fucking nobody. He's the worst. And so they catch him. They catch up to them. And Karsa just kills a bunch of them and dismembers Sogar one by one by one by one, which is awesome, but still alive.
Yep. Well, and specifically chops off his hands and feet.
Yeah, hands
he's
and
not
feet.
Even fully dismembered.
Not fully dismembered, just hands and feet. Yeah. So he's basically like one of those things from Silent Hill. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like imagine if you like cut off a torso. It's just like your waist down, and then you mirror that and stick it on top. So it's like 4 legs, both no feet. It's basically that. That's what he is now. That's Sogar. He's probably still gonna show up a million more times in this book, but no, he is taken prisoner by Karsa. He binds. He's basically like, I'm going to torture the shit out of you. I'm going to make your death the worst possible thing ever. Which is kind of interesting. I mean, it's not a slave. He's not a slave. He's just like a prisoner.
Well, and prisoners of war are fine for Templar.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Damask escapes, notably. He's he does escape. So I'm sure he'll be freeing him in the future, would be if we're talking about predictions. But really the very last thing that happens is that we get the reveal that the blue-eyed prisoner is actually Leoman, and he addresses Karsa as like, "Oh, you're not a Teblor. Oh, you're a Teblor. Oh no, you're the Toblakai." And yeah, so we learned that Leoman and Toblakai from Deadhouse Gates was in fact Karsa. And honestly, this dude that he does not know very well, because in Deadhouse it seems like maybe it has been a couple years or something. I think actually it has, because I forgot there is that big time jump between the end of Gardens and Deadhouse, because Sari has like aged, or not Sari, Apsalar.
Yeah, she's
aged a few years, because at first I was like, wow, this relationship between her and whoever, Fiddler, I think, is a little creepy, but it's like, no, she's aged up quite a few years. I think, so at least a couple years have passed. So I guess they can form that friendship and bond a little more. But yeah, that's where we end off. And anything else you want to add before we go into just what we thought?
Yeah, so
predictions.
There is one of the other things I found when I was kind of going back through notes. We have actually encountered a Thelamin before.
Really?
So
actually, real quick. So what is the whole name of the race? Thelamin Toblakai, or what? Like,
no, it's actually longer than that.
Okay, but that's like a shortened. It's not like Toblakai is like a proper noun or anything. It's just
It's a conjunction of races, is what it seems like. It's like a group of people that fall under. So, Belladin. Yes. The mage who was in love with Nightchill.
Yeah.
He's Thelamin Belladin. I know. That's fun to say, right? But he's a Thelamin. He's a Thelamin Toblakai. Yeah, he's a giant mage. He's a Thelamin Toblakai. But there's in chapter 3, so as I was going back through that, because I thought that he was a giant, and so I went back to go read up on him, and they introduce him as, like, when Tattersall talks about him, she says he's Thelamin Belladin. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, chapter 3 of Gardens of the Moon, there's a poem. Thelamin Tartheno Toblakai, find the names of a people so reluctant to fade into oblivion. Their legend rots, my cynical cast and blights, my eyes with bright glory. Cross not the loyal cage, embracing their unassailable heart. Cross not these stolid menhirs, ever loyal to the earth. Thelamin Tartheno Toblakai, still standing these towering pillars, mar the Gelid-scape of my mind. It's called Gotha's Folly, but that's the name of the people, is Thelamin Tartheno Toblakai.
Interesting. Okay.
So but the reason why I thought that was kind of interesting was because the idea of them not fading into oblivion, the names of people, wanting us not fade into oblivion. But we do keep hearing that a lot, of like, they don't even remember who they are, which I thought was really cool. Like, they call themselves Teblor. They don't even know that they're, Thelamin Toblakai. So like, but that's their race. And the Urid are like the closest to that of any of the ones we've seen. Well,
Yeah.
any of the other Teblor that we've seen.
Yeah, because the other ones have started crossbreeding with the
Yeah.
Nathi, right?
Yeah.
And then with each
Yep.
other and all that good
Yep.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, and so far though, in terms of like mainstay characters, if you will, but I would say Belladin and obviously Karsa are like the two notable examples of Thelem and Teblgai.
Yeah, I'm wondering if what's going to become, will they be like the last, or because it seemed one of the I thought also of note. I guess we don't know if the entire Sunid tribe is gone, but like when they go to raid, because Karsa is like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pit these two other tribes against each other.
Yeah.
And they get to one, like they're just literally all gone, and that's because they've been enslaved by the Nathi. So I don't know if that's the whole tribe, all of Sunid. They're all gone.
I think they are. Yeah.
Okay, so their people may be like dying out. So
I think they are one tribe after another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting to see especially if he ends up being like one of the last of a race. There's one thing I don't know if I want to look or like because I think maybe we'll either see it again or maybe you just remember. But now that we know that he's Toblikai from Deadhouse Gates, do you remember the scene when they are all looking in the book and what his
he's
not allowed to see
tears
it,
of
right?
joy. No, that's Leoman is the one who's not allowed. He opens it, words appear, and it's like one of the most beautiful things he's ever seen, and he just cries.
Okay.
It's like it reveals some really important, which at this point now I think it's something very important to, it's either knowledge about his gods or it's something about the souls that are chained to him or about maybe some kind of freedom.
Yeah, maybe it is like a moment where the souls are he is unchained in that moment.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool. I don't know why that will have happened because he's kind of a dick. Continues to be one towards specifically towards Heberic. He is not very friendly to Heberic. And maybe that's just because he's a mage and like Sogar is kind of his experience with mages and he doesn't trust him or something.
It could also be, part of it could also be the effect.
Doesn't Heberic not have his
he doesn't have his hands, but also remember at that point his like skin is changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be something like, either Karsa recognizes that he can see too much or doesn't like his attitude.
Yeah. I can't wait to eventually just like, get to that, reread that with the knowledge I have. It will be very cool. So, yeah.
So last thing I wanted to mention, just because I was thinking about it as we're going through this, but I don't know that this is a very far flung prediction, but
let's just jump into predictions. Let's go to predictions.
What if Stilgar becomes Iskarolpust?
If Sogar becomes Iskarolpust?
Finds a way to get those hands.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He finds a way to get those hands and feet back. We're okay. So if we're talking timelines here, multiple years ahead, he's going to go mad.
Is he going to go mad?
Iskarol, well, presumably, if he does though, and Iskarolpust is a little out of his, a little bit out of his, he's lost a few marbles.
Yeah.
But there's something kind of interesting that made me think of this was Stilgar did do something, that okay, I gotta get it right because I think it's Stilgar. Because in Dune, Stilgar is the character.
Is that character? Yeah.
Yeah. So Stilgar, but when he pops them to Aaron, I think is where they go. That was really weird because when we've seen people travel by Warren, they actually travel within the Warrens.
Yeah.
He basically teleported them.
Well, you mean from the Warren with the Teasty Dur, like when they leave that?
No, when they escaped.
Well, when they escaped,
when Silgar got to when they were attacked by the Grawl, and Silgar goes to him. He pops them into the Warren, and then he pops them out at a different location, and they did not travel.
I see what
at all.
Yeah.
which is really weird.
Are we sure? Like it wasn't just like it wasn't just like
because
off the screen kind of thing.
No, because Karsa says there was like a flash, and then soon after another flash. Yeah, they popped into war and then popped out within a few moments afterwards, and they were in a whole new location.
Interesting.
Which as we're kind of talking about Iskral Puss again, I was like, wait, that is actually, because we don't know where he came from. He's actually a very powerful sorcerer who has a very strange knowledge of Jaguts, right? Because isn't he the one that heals Akarium or Mappo? I can't remember who was injured at the time.
Yeah,
but he heals somebody with an undisclosed knowledge of human anatomy. So just
I kind of hope that's not it though, because I kind of like Iskral Puss. He's not like a full bad guy, I don't think, and like Sogar is like an actual piece of shit. Like,
well, he is, but again, like I mean, funny.
Sorry, you froze for a second. Actually, you're still.
I was just saying.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, can you? Yeah, I was just saying he's selfish and self-centered. But I could see there being.
Sogar's evil. He's a slave master. Like,
yeah,
I would feel bad about liking like Puss a little bit if it ends up being Sogar.
I guess
I'd rather it be the ox or something. What's the ox or the donkey or something?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember. But yeah, that would be funny.
I'd rather it be that. Like, that's like a more like fitting end for Sogar. Is like some awful fate. Yeah. Because like, I mean, Puss, like, he helps them. He helps like Fiddler and them. You're right, for selfish reasons in a way, but still, like, I feel like Fiddler and because Fiddler's also super injured at some point and is, I think, also healed.
No, it was Fiddler. That's who they healed.
Okay,
Fiddler,
yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I would just hate. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. But I see what you're saying. I feel like the points can kind of connect there. But part of me is just like, I hope we just find out that he just tortures him and he gets his fate. Like, let him die. The other thing I was thinking for Sogar was like, I couldn't remember when Felison gets to the camp. They like bring them to they're traveling. Not Post. Tobakai, Leoman, Hebrick, and Felison. They reach the camp with all of the warriors, and there's like the 5 like commanders, mages, or whatever. Was there one of them? Yeah. Was there one of them that didn't have limbs or couldn't? Was there any that maybe fit this description? Because I can't remember. But one of them was like because she was reading all their minds at some point.
Yep.
And there was a couple like defiant ones, maybe more so than others. So I don't know. Maybe he gets like locked into that role against his will or something.
Yeah.
I don't know
that one again. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. And then the other thought there would be, obviously, if he doesn't die, the fact that he's had his limbs chopped off makes him a prime candidate for the Chain God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because now he's disfigured. So, and he's got the personality for it.
He definitely has the personality for it. Yeah. And then obviously we got a Damask. I do think, for just on predictions, I didn't really have any bold predictions for this one, honestly. I think just because we get led to a point where it's just like we get the big reveal and it's like, oh, cool. So, mine are, I only had 2 very, 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 softball. So basically, we already talked about them. That the 7 are working for the Cripple God, and as are Troll Sengar's people. So that even this, I wrote Troll Sengar's people because then I was like, oh yeah, let me look into Dramad's persona. I was just looking to see if Troll Sengar was in there, and then it's like, oh, he's a TC door. I was like, oh, wow, that just kind of changes things. But I do still think that because all we know is that his people were working for, in his opinion, Troll Sengar's a misguided leader or whatever he calls it. So I think same thing, but I do think that whatever they're searching for is going to be key to like unlocking the crippled god. And I do think they find it in this book. At some point the crippled god's going to get unlocked. He's got to. He's the big bad. So I do think they're going to find it. I don't know if they're going to find it in this book, but I do think that the Teast Edor finding whatever they're searching for is going to be the key. So definitely a bad. We already know they're like scary because we got. I can't remember. I think it was in Memories of Ice. We learned about now there's so many names now. The Tistan D. What are the people that are working with the Malazans? Is it Tistan D?
That's a Tistan D.
Yeah, and then there's a third one too. There's the Tistan D, Teast Edor, and Teast something else.
Yeah.
Because there was like shadow, darkness, and I think light. And we got the story of like the mother and how she created the three different, and like that the shadow ones who are the Edor were like the evil ones. It's in one of the little, are they called epigraphs before each chapter in Memories of Ice?
Yeah.
It's in one of those. We kind of get like the history of the Tiste people.
Yeah, I don't remember. I have to look at that one again. But no, I do remember what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name.
But we kind of learn that they're evil already. The Edor, that they're the bad guys, and we also know from Memories of Ice that who are the Segula? They were battling like basically the Teast Edor on the seas. So same thing. I think these are just like an oppressive people. The Teast Edor, always kind of the bad guys. So yeah, not too out of left field to predict that they will be doing bad guy stuff in the rest of this book. But other than that, I didn't really have any like bold predictions. I don't really know where this is. Now because of the last line, I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna pick up back with Felison maybe, or at some point we've got to get back. I cannot imagine this whole book is gonna not talk about where we're currently at in events. Honestly though, I don't think I would care if it didn't, which is crazy. Like if this just continued and like we spend the rest of this book with Leomin and Toblakai in those years leading up to Felison, and we don't talk about anybody else, I think I wouldn't care. I think Karsa is just such a, and what do we call him now? Do we continue to call him Karsa, or?
I'd be calling him by his races.
But that's what they call
very
him.
Clear.
In Deadhouse Gates, it's like he is not really named even by Leomin. Like he says, "I'm Leomin," and he's Toblakai. Right, unless Leomin is that's not a race, right?
That's his name. Yeah,
that's his name.
Leomin is his name. But like looking back, I mean, it's definitely pretty. You definitely could see it as being pretty clear that like that they don't intend for his name to be Toblakai. It's almost like he is
he's the Toblakai. Yeah,
he's the Toblakai. That's right.
Yeah,
and so
but intentionally not giving names. So I wonder if Karsa gives up his name to disassociate from his connection to the Teblar people or something, and maybe that's what unchains him or something like that. Because now that he's starting to learn more of the truth, which I think he will continue, I think he, the doubt's been planted, the seed has been planted of that doubt, and I think that will continue to grow, and he will want to separate from his people. So, yeah. Any other? Those are all my predictions. Any other from you? Have those in right down either, so we'll just have to remember them.
Yeah. So the only other thing I was thinking of was just like the chains. I think we're going to find that there's a significance between the chains that were being mentioned with Karsa and the chain god. So I think that's ultimately the thread that's going to bring everything together. And I'm still thinking about it, but I'm really curious as to what would bring Talani Moss renegades to the chain god. And that's the thing I've been thinking about a lot.
Oh, like the seven, like why they were.
Because I really do think they're Talon and Moss renegades.
Sure.
And which I guess we now know what Talon means. Talon is just bone.
Yeah, bone, because they call it. Yeah, that was another cool little review. Like if you were doubting, we kind of had like the idea already that the Nathi were descendants of that, but what they called the bone pass, the people in Nathi call it the Talon pass, which was a cool little like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And so very likely a Moss just like literally means like people.
Yeah, so bone people.
Which is bone people, which is fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
So
I am I'm curious as well. I wonder if we'll ever find that out. Just because, I think big bads like the Cripple God, he's obviously very clever. And so it could just be the promise of something, right? And maybe it is. Maybe it's the escape from their curse of being.
Could be.
And that's what he promised them. But
I also do find the imagery kind of interesting too with the found. Then also the children that Column has, which I know is that's obviously we're still a little bit further away, but I thought that imagery was also kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was we didn't really talk about them, but that's an interesting one where they are not really dead. They are bound to the one of the members of the seven, but they're like intentionally disfigured so that way they can they look perpetually in dismay.
Are they the ones they're like sacrificed to them? Yeah.
Yeah. She takes many of the sacrificed children. She like basically binds them to her, so they're not forbidden. They're forbidden from passing on.
Yeah.
She raises them, and then they're like intentionally scarred across their face, like basically almost like a massive scarring with like an intense stroke. Yeah. Just like that side of the left side of their face is just constantly drooped.
Well, I don't have a guess for this, but I'm curious to see if you do. Right, they have Karsa. These seven have Karsa on a path to something. Yep. What is it? What do you think it is? Like, what do you think their goal for him was?
Yeah, well, and I don't know because at first it almost seems like they just need a lot of people to die. But if that were the case, it would seem that they would have given up on him already. And then it also kind of brings this question as to why. Seems more likely that they need him specifically to go to a place. And then to do that, he has to go to the lowlands and then through, I'm guessing, the Malazans in order to get there. So, yeah, so I think that there's something that he needs to do or kill, or someone that he needs to kill.
You think it's separate from the search that the TC Duo are doing? Or do you think everyone's just searching for this one thing?
Yeah.
Or is it more like a Horcrux situation where there's like multiple things spread that the Cripple God needs?
Well, I mean, the Cripple God's in pieces, right? Or at least there's a talk of that.
Yep.
Because isn't that how he arrived, or like how
they basically shattered and fell.
Yeah. So it could be something like that.
Yeah, maybe he needs to be made whole again.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I've thought about where it's like I've considered one that Garza could be a sacrifice. That like because we've seen cases where like pieces of a god have possessed a person. We saw that in Deadhouse Gates. So he could be an intended sacrifice, but he needs to get to a place. He needs to fight his way there. He could be intended to kill Caladan Brood, who has the hammer. It's interesting that as of yet we've not seen any pieces move against Caladan, considering that he's got the ability to stop everything in its tracks. If it is the case that Karsa is a descendant of the Jagut, then even though it hasn't happened yet, hold on. Memories of Ice is taking place alongside the events of Deadhouse Gates.
Yep.
Could be the case that there's, it's interesting that there's a Jagut seer, and then now we've got Karsa, who might be related to the Jagut in some way. So yeah, so I'm not really sure, but it does seem to be the case though that that they need him for something, and I think that the killing and all of that I think is really just to twist him up. I don't think that they need souls. I think that they need him to be hollowed out.
Do you think it also could have been just like they have obviously given him this false prophecy of one who unites all of the tribes, and that in theory couldn't he unite the tribes by going down to Silver Lake and succeeding, coming back a hero, right? They unite the tribes, and now the cripple, now they say, your prophecy is fulfilled. Here's the next one. You need to march on this with these, and so maybe it could have just been that. It's like they want to use the Teblor as a whole unit of people to march on something. But then the thing that I couldn't remember what they were feeling when they show up on the ship. All right, at that point, are they like he's out of like they obviously are following him even to there. So are they still like he's still kind of within our reach, or is it?
Yeah, because they keep saying they act like they're really close to something, like they're trying to push him to something, but then he kind of keeps getting diverted. And that's the way that they frame it. It's like they keep saying they said that like, we're really close to tying the knot, but he just cuts through.
Yeah, maybe it is just simply
Yeah.
breaking him mentally, because
Yeah.
that is one thing, especially with that vision of the chains. Like he was right there. So yeah, maybe it is simply that, but they have to break the strongest willed one or something.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
all right, so yeah, we're approaching. We are at 2.5 hours. Real quick,
Yep.
do you have any dislikes from this part?
No, this was just absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. I mean, it's a different storytelling technique than we've seen before, but I absolutely loved it. I don't mind at all if we stick with single narratives or if we start flipping between different characters at this point. I thought the prose was honestly there was some of Steven Erickson's best prose in this book. I'm not saying it's just better than all the other ones, but I'm saying like I think some of the prose in this book are
You
some
can
of the
see the
best we've
growth.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I think
Yeah.
it's kind of inevitable if continue to write, it will
Yeah.
continue to develop, and yeah, it definitely feels more
Yeah.
developed here.
And there's just like these little things I think that come up that just add to it. Like there's these little lines at the end of paragraphs where he'll be like, just mentions a detail and it adds to the effect. Like there's one where he talks about like there were dogs nearby, but they didn't awake, and it's just stuff like that. The prose has been really good. The way he does the way he builds the scenes has been really good. Um, the the narrative has been awesome, and Kars's character is super dynamic and really interesting. Like I said, like you said, a compelling character. Yeah, I think this book has been phenomenal, and the way it has the fact that it has brought so much. I mean, again, like just all four books, like it's brought so much together from tidbits across all the books in only the first part.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's like for me. It's like 1,000
Yeah,
page
it's a big boy.
book.
It's a big boy.
But still,
I think it's a little
mean,
shorter than Memories of Ice, but
yeah,
it is still a big boy.
yeah, but I think it's really phenomenal how the world is just how he's able to use it so well.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I'm kind of right there with
really
you. Yeah.
good.
Honestly, like I tried to think of dislikes. If anything, I think there were a couple moments that were a little confusing. True to the previous books as well. With like, I remember Dead House specifically, there was a battle. I was like, I had a little bit of a hard time following. There's a description in this one of the Bone Pass when they get there. How there's almost like a ledge and then the waterfall, but they can walk across the water and the ledge, and then they have to go down the steep. It was just like, at the end of the day, it's a waterfall and they're walking down it. It doesn't really matter, but I'm like trying to visualize that flat plateau before the waterfall. Like he made it imply like it looked like an axe was taken to the land, so it was almost like a split, like a ravine.
Yeah, it was like the mountain, and then it was like split, and then the water is going through the split, and then the bone pass is like arcing through that basically, or like zigzagging through that.
Yeah,
And yep,
I think I just found that description at times a little bit just distracting more than anything. Of like at the end of the day, it's a waterfall.
Yep.
And I can get that. And then same with like there was a lot of Warren jumping back to back to back, and I was like, and I think that's part of it. It's right. We're not supposed to get the reveal that they are near Earliton or whatever until we get that reveal. But a lot of just like, where are we out of a Warren? Are we in a Warren? Are we in a Warren within a Warren? Like
Yeah.
a little bit of confusion there, but honestly, not like it's not like we haven't had that in the previous books, and it's one of those trust the process kind of thing. So not really a negative, but if I had to pull something, I guess I would say that. But then, yeah, likes, very similar. I think the single POV change was really nice. I don't think I like one more than the other. I just think it was a nice little welcome change. World building, I think the world building in this part was maybe my favorite. I was so just interested in learning about the Teblor and their ways and them as a people. And yeah, that like just everything culturally about them, I was just completely captivated. And maybe that's because it's a single POV that I'm not distracted by anything else. Maybe it's that. I don't know, but really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed following a not super likable character because I think it challenges you as a reader. And then, yeah, the biggest thing, or not the biggest thing, but the final thing is, yeah, like you're saying, some really big reveals, but almost like big, subtle reveals. like I think you could, like I was saying, I think you could read most of this part and just be like, it's just another sentence, but like one sentence can unlock so much from having read those previous books. It just is, it's done and it's not done in like I'm like a whoa, like gotcha. It's not done in that like way that I think certain authors might do. It's just like that's just a story. He's just doing it in a storytelling technique that is subtle but super cool. It just makes I'm constantly excited when I'm reading it. So yeah, one of my favorite parts. I think maybe the strongest opening that I'm already. A lot of the other books are like
for sure.
Just hold on, it'll pay off. Yeah. And here I'm like. I'm not feeling like this was good, but like we gotta get to the kind of some of these payoffs. It's like I feel like we've gotten the payoff. This felt like a whole journey. It could have been a book in itself, honestly, and I would have been like stoked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as far as like the pacing goes, it's almost like we got plopped into the beginning of the Chain of Dogs. Like that's like the level of pacing.
Yeah,
is kind of like that, where you're following this character who is very driven, and the pacing of the plot is keeping up with them. And so you don't have this early setup. It's not, if you were to analogize this like Guardians of the Moon, it would have been like, we see Teblor as a kid, and then now he's in his village, and then he's trying to swoon over Dalis, and then he's got the village elders. Like it would have been 200 pages or more of the whole village and the politics of the village and the problem, and like then end of part one would have been him leaving without a blessing, right?
Yep.
But like no, we are very much like moving. We know those details. We're very much moving with the character through this quest.
Yeah.
So the pacing has been a lot faster, but it's been good. It's not too fast.
No, yeah.
And
I think
it doesn't feel like we're running through over things.
Yeah, I think that's what lends itself to like, I feel like I'm constantly rewarded without being babysat. As far as like, right, we don't get all that prequel stuff, but I still get to learn all of that by being interested and like learning about their culture. And I don't know. I just think the way he tells it is just phenomenal. So yeah, loved it. I have no idea what to expect from the rest of this book. Where I will say that's the biggest difference of at the end of part one of all the other three other books. Maybe not Gardens because I just didn't know Malazan at that point, but Deadhouse Gates and Memories of Ice. I was like, I kind of have an idea of what I'm to expect in this book. I have literally no idea what to expect in this book, but I'm excited to find out. So, yeah. Any closing words before we head out?
Nope. Just as always, probably be a couple of weeks before. It's usually about the pacing that we go off of, so probably be a couple of weeks before we finish this next part.
And you're back to school soon as well, right? So
yep, I go back to school on the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so, we'll keep everybody apprised. We're getting into books now where they're longer. I think this is one of, if not the longest. I think, like you said, Memories of Ice is about the same length or maybe a little bit
I think
longer.
Memories of Ice and Bone Hunters, just off of like if I'm looking.
Actually, in terms of my trade paperbacks, House of Chains is actually over 100 pages longer.
But you were reading but you read trade for both?
So
interesting.
In terms of trade, this is 100 pages longer. The epilogue here is 1,013 pages, and epilogue here is like 909 pages.
Interesting. Yeah, I have the let's see where they're right here.
Yep.
The broken binding ones, and I think Memories of Ice, which is that big one, but before the gap, and then Bone Hunters is the furthest one, are the chonkers. I think this one's page count for me is a little shorter. So, yeah, I don't know. Is the font the same? We don't talk. Everyone needs to know, Ian. Is the font the same size?
The font.
And what are the font sizes? And what is the font name?
No, they're not. This is more packed than the other one.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
What everyone was waiting for.
Yeah, there you go. That was the big reveal. That was our 254 page reveal.
I'll trick them into reading more.
But I will say, I guess as like closing thoughts, I do have this on Audible. I did try to do a little bit of Audible with this one. I did not like it on Audible. So,
I've heard pretty much nothing but bad things about the audiobooks of Malazan.
See, I did Memories of Ice on Audible. I had both of them. I liked it. I would listen to the car. I'd get home and read with it.
But you did
I
say
liked
that
it. It
some
was
of the
fun.
voices were a little like caricature.
Oh yeah,
Like,
like it was not the best, but it was fine. I just I don't know. I couldn't.
is
This
this a
one was a
different
distraction. It's
narrator?
different. Yeah. So we switched narrators, and the narrator we have for House of Change, I believe, is the narrator that's for the rest of the books.
Mm,
I didn't like it. It was a distraction to me. It was more distracting to me than it was helpful. So now I'm suspecting this will be the same moving forward. Now I'm just reading it.
yeah.
So
I feel like, yeah, it's Malazan for me. It's just like there's so many sentences I want to reread and parts I want to reread. I don't think I can keep up with an audiobook. I'd get to that point where I'm like beyond a sentence. I'm like, oh, but I kind of want to go back and hear what that is again. But it's like, oh no, we're going. So yeah, I definitely think for this, for me, reading is the way. But all right, whoa,
okay, man.
thanks for sticking with us for a longer video. This was one we didn't know. We said going in like, I don't know, it's a pretty straightforward part. Maybe it'll be a shorter video. No, we'll never do it. But that's okay. It flew by. I had a great time. And this was really the first we got to discuss it. So I'm glad. I didn't know where you were going to land, really. So it was cool seeing you share that excitement. But yes, we're going to sign off now. We're Hobby Vomit. I'm Matt.
I'm Ian.
And thank you for watching. And we will see you in a couple of weeks for the next one. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.